It's happy hour with the Geek Buddies. Happy hour with the Geek Buddies. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the
Who Were Those People Geek? Not our buddies! Hey!
It is Friday, the 24th of January. Can you believe it? We're almost out of the month of January. That's how quickly 2025 is rolling through our lives right now. And we haven't done a live show in a very, very long time, like a live main show. We've done live reviews. We haven't done a live main show in a bit. So we thought, why not? Let's do a little happy hour, hanging out 4 o'clock in the afternoon here on the West Coast and hang out with you all and have some fun talking a bunch of things going on in the world of entertainment. A lot of stuff dropping today. In fact, so much so that we changed our titles, changed our thumbnails, but a lot for us to get into and have a fun conversation about here on a happy hour version of the Geek Buddies. So thanks so much for joining us. I am John Roker, writer, producer, and host here on the Geek Buddies, joined as always by these two wonderful gentlemen. And the first up is who?
Michael Vogel, writer and producer of animated TV shows and movies, and a little tired and disagree that this has been a quick January. It's been the longest January that's ever Januaried. But here we are, and we made it. And I'm happy to be having my Friday afternoon with all of you.
Oh, we have made it, that's for sure. Mr. McClung.
Yeah, this is Shannon McClung. I'm an animation writer and a television actor where you can see me right now on the second episode of Max's The Pitt that's getting really, really good reviews. It's a pretty good show. Yeah. I hope you all can check it out. And also, this is my first time trying these new Bose headphones out, and it's really weird. Do I sound okay? Yeah. Like I can't. This is a change that I was not prepared for. I literally opened them up about an hour ago. It's real weird. Also, I took a big sip of this beer, and I didn't know John was going to do his extended introduction, so I'm drunk right now.
Well, I've got my Black Label Johnny Walker whiskey that I'm opening up right now, and I'm going to combine it with a little bit of the Coke Zero because I am a person who does mix my drinks, and that's the only way I can drink them, for God's sakes. I'm not a hard drinker. But I am starting out this way on a Friday because we've done all our errands for the day. I don't have to go anywhere else. And I'm hanging out with my buddies and all of you all to talk about stuff that's going on. But I will say this. I might have to pull away for a few minutes here in a little bit because I've got to do a video call real quick to verify who the hell I am so I can get screeners from Warner Brothers. So a very strange existence, my life, for sure. But let's touch base with you, Vogel. I know we're going to get into a lot of subjects, but what's going on with you? How are you feeling? How are things? How's your life? What can you tell us about the mic?
How do you think I feel? Betrayed? Bewildered? I'm good. I finished a script today that I had been working on for a while, a rough draft, and so I was excited about that. I feel a sense of accomplishment. And it's been a nice week after a couple weeks of craziness in LA. This one was a little bit quiet, so that was not. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's been a good week. Had a few good meetings. I had some good calls. Feels like 2025 is slowly, at least on the LA level, shifting back to normal, even if the world is a little bit crazy. And I'm excited for a chill weekend. I went out of town with some friends last weekend, and this weekend is going to be a nice chill at home weekend. So I'm excited.
Nice. Shannon McClung, how are you? How are things on your end? How are you feeling as we check in with each other on this happy hour?
I just had I had an audition for the third season of a fancy show. The audition was actually due today. I did it 2 days ago, but maybe we'll get a good call. We'll see. I did get a little bit of bad news. There's a particularly geeky show that I've told you guys about that I have read for a lot, like 8 to 10 times. And then I found out they have cast their last episode. It was not meant for me to be a part of this show. I was very disappointed. A couple of friends of mine did get in it though, so I was happy for them. But for whatever reason,
were you?
I mean,
I was happy enough. I was happy enough for them. But this happens sometimes, there's a project that you're super excited to see and the possibility of being a part of it comes up. And sometimes it doesn't I mean, I have read many a Marvel film. The only thing I've done is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But this happens.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll try to pick up your spirits here as we go throughout the show here, Shannon. Of course, another way you guys can help support everything we got going on here on the Geek Buddies is send in your Streamlabs and Super Chats. Those are wide open. You see the address is pinned in the chats in the description of the video as well in terms of Streamlabs. And at some point, I'm going to fix that graphic above our heads so you can see the Streamlabs address up there as well. We'll figure that out as we go along in the world. As for me, just chilling out, fighting off fires here in San Diego. We had a couple other ones that blew up a few minutes away from us, and then some down in Mexico near the border, which were like 20 to 30 acres. So pretty scary stuff, these brush fires that are popping up. But I'm hoping maybe this was like the final week of it, although it is getting hotter down here. Maybe that may be a bad thing for us, but so far, all of that. And today has just been trying to reestablish all my connections for screeners and stuff as I'm kind of pulling away from other organizations and kind of want to just stand out on my own. So it's been a lot of emails, a lot of back and forth, a lot of codes and what have you. So it's a weird little situation there. Anything else? No, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I'm halfway through Day of the Jackal on Peacock.
Oh yeah. How are you enjoying that? Are you liking Day of the Jackal? Is that your jam?
That is a great show, guys. That Eddie Redmayne, he might go somewhere.
I'm a jackal. I'm a jackal. I'm a jackal. Yeah.
He's great.
There's a season 2 that's been confirmed, and I like the chemistry between him and Lashana Lynch having finished the series. What about you, Shannon? Have you seen this as well?
Oh yeah. This was, I think it was our friend Jonathan Gabay said that he had watched the first episode and he's like, and I think it was good. So my wife and I watched the first one, and then we ended up watching the first 3.
Nice.
And then it was on a weekly release format. So every week we were watching it, and I mean I'm a little iffy sometimes on Eddie Redmayne. I mean, a lot of it has to do with Fantastic Beasts, that I feel like the character was just not that interesting. But this was a different color on him, and I think he did a really, really good job. And if you ever had doubts that Newt Scamander had a membership to a gym, watch watch Day of the Jackal. He put in some time.
I think my only issue with the show was his wife, her breathy acting all the time. Everything is very super serious. And I know she's worked for years in Spanish television and a successful actress, but man, there's a lot of over dramatic delivery in certain moments in their interactions. And I have to tell you,
some dramatic stuff going on.
Yeah, well, fair. But her brother, her brother, dude. Her brother. I don't know if you got to that yet, Mikey, but her brother. Let me just put that on the table. Anything? What are you watching? Anything you're watching, Shannon? Are you watching anything right now that you'd want to talk about besides the Pit? Of course, your episode over and over again. No.
Yes, the new residuals model has taken effect for streaming, so I am watching that show on my episode on a loop. I did start The Agency with Michael Fassbender, which it is a very dense show, but it's really, really well done. I am enjoying that one. I just finished the season premiere of Severance, which was fantastic for season 2. And they actually have it has been, few years since Severance finished. But there's actually a podcast, sort of a catch-up podcast that's hosted by Ben Stiller and Adam Scott.
Gotcha.
So I've been listening to that leading up to me finally watching the episode. So Severance is just such an off the wall show. But I super enjoyed it. The movie that I know I told you about, well, no, I think I put it on our group feed. The movie that I had seen that I was heartbroken it didn't get a nomination was September 5.
Yeah.
Because to me, there are some very good films in that list. September 5 for me was the best one. But
interesting.
We'll talk about that when we get to it.
Yeah, we'll get to the Oscar noms. Yeah, this is much more of a free-flowing show. I'll certainly put up, pictures and whatever, but it's much more of a relaxed hangout, shooting the shit.
We'll get the pictures. Don't worry. You get your pictures.
We'll get all that
get
stuff.
Your pictures. It's fine.
But it's much more relaxed. So I hope you guys are joining us with a drink or with however you want to enjoy a happy hour. We're just chilling out. It's much more chill. So send in your Streamlabs Super Chats. as we go along. We'll answer them as we go along, and who knows what tangents we'll go on as we go along with this particular type of show. But as for me, I'm watching. I finally got into Traitors. The Traitors. Watching current season 3 with all the reality show contestants. But it's been made clear to me that I need to watch the real people going through this stuff.
It is a different show.
Side. So yeah, go ahead.
I love the American Traitors. I'm not a big reality TV person, but even I enjoy it's the Survivors versus the Housewives. But I watched it. I watched the US version. Then you go to the UK version and you see real people where that money really matters, and they are not used to people lying to them.
Yes,
and it is a different ball game. Like, to me, I think that the US Traitors is a real treat, but I think the UK Traitors is a feast.
Oh, really? Oh, that's a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it. Also, I'm very proud. I've recently purchased the Red Hulk in Funko and Captain America in Funko as well, which I don't know. I was in the mood and I just bought them. So we have Sam over here and we got Harrison over here just hanging out with me today. So
I really hope that movie doesn't make you take them down. We'll see what happens. I have fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for next month.
Hey, man, there's some new posters. Maybe I'll put those up at some point during our conversation. But there were some new posters that were released that look pretty cool. But yeah, and it's still tracking at 95 million for opening weekend. So that's a positive. But you can tell people are sharpening their knives and their forks, ready to tear that one apart if it's not that good. But speaking of Marvel, let's jump into our show. Let's jump into some conversation, some of these stories here. Let's get into this first one. Let's just jump at this one. There's a big rumor going on from My Time to Shine. Hello, saying that Robert Downey Jr. is rumored to appear, of course, we know in Fantastic Four First Steps in a post-credit scene, and that he will take center stage in Avengers Doomsday, and then, of course, be a huge part of Secret Wars as well. But there was some feeling that maybe it would just be a one-off, kind of carrying it over into this next phase. But according to My Time to Shine, hello, they are basically stating that Marvel Studios reportedly wants RDJ to continue playing Doom past the 2027 movie Avengers Secret Wars, and that there may be tentative plans for him in place to keep going with the saga, be a thorn in the side of the Fantastic Four, but also possibly reignite the Iron Man franchise. As we know in the comic books, Dr. Doom became Iron Man for a little bit. So, Michael, I go to you first on this one. What do you believe this rumor? And second, would you want to see this happen? And third, do you think this will be the way that they kind of backdoor their way into an Iron Man rebirth of that franchise?
In reverse order.
Okay.
No, that if he's playing Dr. Doom and he's going to be their Dr. Doom, that's not a backdoor to be. Everybody loves to bring up that whole Dr. Doom became Iron Man thing. Like, this is some like secret code to the way they're doing things. Like, they want Robert Downey Jr. to be Dr. Doom because the idea that they came up with, that the Russos and McFeely came up with, somehow ties into a Tony Stark variant or something. Like, this is not Dr. Doom was Iron Man, so we're going to do it this way. Like, it's just, if they're going to do a new Iron Man, if they're going to reboot the Iron Man franchise, it's going to be with either Ironheart will do great and it'll be Riri Williams, or they're going to reboot the whole universe post Secret Wars on some level and have a new Iron Man. Like, I don't think they're going to, you're not going to have old Robert Downey Jr. rebirth a franchise. A rebirthed franchise means a new, younger actor in some capacity.
Right.
As far as him continuing to play Dr. Doom, if the rumor is true, it does mean that they're clearly very happy with the direction that Doomsday and Secret Wars is going. So that's good.
Sure.
Like, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. staying around as Dr. Doom, that just really depends on the execution of it. It really depends on, did they do a really good job? I don't know that. The first thing I thought of was it's going to be like The Mandalorian. Like, perhaps Dr. Doom, when we first meet him in this version, like, they're not paying Robert Downey Jr. $11 billion to have a mask on for 2 movies. Is going to be Robert Downey Jr. But maybe something that happens on the arc of all of this puts him in that mask, And then they just have to have Robert Downey Jr. show up in the recording booth and record his lines and let somebody else be in the Doctor Doom suit. It's a James Earl Jones treatment. So maybe there's a version of that. I don't know, but I don't think, given the price tag that Robert Downey Jr. had, I don't think he's going to become the consistent Doctor Doom, because that's a lot of money, but we'll see.
What about you, Shannon? Do you think, and I'm going to pull myself down because I got to make this call. So, Shannon, what do you think? Do you think this is going to happen? Do you think what would you, A, do you believe the rumor? B, do you think this is going to happen? And C, the Iron Man situation, does this make sense at all? Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be back.
No, now let's just talk about John. Let's just tell stories. Tell the fans what they really want. This motherfucker.
In terms of whether or not I think it's going to happen, do I think that those conversations have probably taken place? Yes. But again, as Vogel already put, it's impossible to say that now before a frame of film has been shot. As you know, you bring this guy back because, again, as Vogel already said, the Russos came up with an idea that got the brass excited. Marvel brass has gotten excited about ideas in the past that didn't necessarily pan out. The buzz behind Eternals was Marvel's afraid it's too good. Like, they don't actually know what to do with something like this. And when the movie hit the theaters, the public did not agree with that assessment. So in terms of, do I think it's going to happen? Impossible to say right now. If it were to happen, as Vogel already put, that was my first thought was, that's an expensive proposition to keep him in going forward. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see what this movie actually is. And Adam Jimenez, I didn't say that I hated Eternals. I didn't love it, but I didn't say I hated it.
We all know that I'm the only one who actually likes Eternals out of the three of us.
Yes. Eternals, there is some great filmmaking in Eternals, but maybe not some great storytelling. I think it was probably a few too many characters to take on, but like Makari, like for a brand that I knew nothing about, for a book that I had heard the name, but I didn't know anything about it. Makari was just the coolest character, and watching the speedster effects that they used for her, I'm like, man, the Flash has their work cut out for them. And
we saw how that went.
Yeah, the Eternals has the superior speedster, in my opinion. What's going to be weird is,
what have you been saying about me? Oh no. Okay, go ahead.
I've been saying that you're a heck of a guy. but with Downey and Doctor Doom, like, whatever the plan is that they've come up with, my guess is that plan was only for those two movies. But Downey went off. He won his Oscar. If this is something that he enjoys doing, maybe he would stick around. But even if he doesn't, it's like, what is the plan? Is it like post-Secret Wars, suddenly there's a new Doctor Doom? I don't know. Like, the more and more I think about this plan of bringing him back, it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be a long year before Avengers Doomsday comes out, because I'm certainly curious more than anything. Like even with Endgame, we had a rough template of what we thought was going to happen.
Right.
And for a decent section of it, we were correct. And that was okay, because what we got was just so enjoyable. This, man, no clue. Like, people are talking about, is he a Tony Stark variant? Was our Tony Stark a Victor Von Doom variant? I mean, there's all these theories, and you certainly hope that as fans of the properties, as fans, we want them to do the best job that they can. And so, fingers crossed. No one doubts that Robert Downey Jr. is going to be great.
Right.
Will we be able to get over the fact that that's Tony Stark up there?
Well, it's, you keep hearing that the Russos are going to be advising on all of these Marvel projects beyond just these two movies. Like, they're going to be advisors, and they're going to be looked at as advisors going forward. And remember, they said, like, they rejected the idea, and then the next day we're like, no, now I've got a really good idea what we want to do. And so it may be something that carries over into multiple films. it may be that Feige doesn't feel confident in what he's built here in these last two phases and wants to have someone who's going to put the bit of a foundational tentpole down and use to launch these other things and carry off as a big baddie throughout, because they've had to adjust on the fly with the Jonathan Majors situation. And so this is the move they've made. So it may stretch out. Go ahead. Mike, yeah.
So, like, I'm going to give a weird example, but in the Ultimate Marvel Comics, which ultimately that universe collapsed and got absorbed into the main Marvel universe with Secret Wars, in the Ultimate Fantastic Four, that Reed Richards went bad and ultimately became a big bad guy, like the biggest villain in the Ultimate Universe, called the Maker. And that villain was so big. I mean, he played a part in the Secret Wars story. He was like, there was a Reed Richards, and then there was the Maker. And that character got locked away and is the way that they sort of found their way into this new Ultimate Universe that is currently being published by Marvel. Like, he was such an interesting character, this bad version of Reed Richards, this character who was so smart, but so evil and twisted that they've kept him around, and he's outlasted the rest of the Ultimate Universe.
Okay.
If the Russos came in with an idea and McFeely came in with an idea that Robert Downey Jr., some Robert Downey Jr. variant of Doom was so good and everybody was like, holy fuck, this is like the best idea. We don't want to do this for 2 movies. This guy is going to make it through Secret Wars and he is going to be pissed off, and we're going to have an evil version of Tony Stark, an evil person who is as determined, as smart, as everything as Tony Stark was, and he's going to be the biggest villain that we're going to have for the next 10 years, and it's worth it, and we're dumping the truck. Maybe, but that's a whole lot of money, and it's also Robert Downey Jr. kind of committing to something for the back half of his career. I mean, the back half of his second career, he's had a very, very long, he's like, so like, maybe he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life. But I also think Robert Downey Jr. at some point is like, do I really want to be on set doing this in a green screen in my Dr. Doom underwear for the next decade of my life? Like, that's a lot.
Well, you say the back half of his career, right? I mean, he got the Oscar. He's got his Oscar. So like, maybe he can chill out for a little bit and just start stacking bills and, you know, planning his kids' futures to make sure they never have to work. And so for him, there's a possibility to really kind of establish himself. And maybe he has an idea at some point to move into the land of executives or the land of something bigger down the road for himself. What better way to do that than to stack those piles of cash to make sure you've got a backup to do anything you want to do? I don't know. Just something to consider.
You do understand that he has enough money now to do literally, he can go sit on a beach for the rest of his life and do zero, and he's still going to have more money than the rest of us when he dies. Like, he's good.
The beach that he bought, his beach.
Probably. Yeah. But you know, for some people, it's never enough. And certainly for people who have an addictive personality, which he has, the idea of accruing. Wait, I'm not saying it in a negative way. We know he has that tendency.
That man has worked so hard, and you are gonna. Wow.
I didn't say anything negative. I'm just saying, like, he's got that, and maybe he's addicted to working. Maybe he's addicted to being part of this universe. Maybe he's addicted to making this money, and he wants to keep it going because he feels excited. It gets his juices flowing. I don't know. I think there's possibilities. Plus, you know, when he started, he was the one laying the groundwork. Now he's like the den mother, in essence, of all of these young Avengers coming through. We saw what he did with Tom Holland. What if he's able to do that in some way for all these other younger characters coming through? Could be interesting to use it in that way. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. Now, what about the other side of this? Shannon, I go to you first. I mean, the Doctor Strange stuff popped up this week in his interview with Variety. He said that he is not going to be part of Avengers Doomsday. And then he said, is that a spoiler? Well, F it. And he said it was because of Majors being fired that his absence from the movie was down to, quote, the character not aligning with that part of the story. But he will be, quote, in a lot of Avengers Secret Wars. He also hinted that they were working on Doctor Strange 3 with him and Clea and what that would be all about. So Are you surprised that he's not in Avengers Doomsday? And are you excited that he's a huge part of the Secret Wars? And when are we going to get Sam Raimi directing this Doctor Strange 3 announcement already, for fuck's sake? Yeah, sure.
I mean, Cumberbatch was he's a lot of fun to watch with other heroes.
Yes.
But as of right now, I mean, currently where the MCU stands, he is not on our Earth. He has gone off with Clea to fight incursions. A lot of it will just depend on what Doomsday is. Is that where the multiverse collapses? If it is, thinking of Hickman's comic, Strange and Doom are very acquainted with each other. So again, the MCU adapts things. They do things their own way, but Strange is very integral to the way Doom runs things in Secret Wars. So how that's going to pan out, I don't know. I'm still kind of holding out hope that maybe it's not Sam Raimi for Doctor Strange 3. But you know, those decisions are made very, very high above.
Let me swing back to you. Do you think we'll get Doctor Strange 3 before Secret Wars? Do you think they'll establish that, or do you think it'll be after?
I would, looking at the scheduling, looking at the timing, I don't know how you shoot 2 Avengers movies and a Doctor Strange movie in 2 years with everything else that they're going to be filming. Like, obviously Marvel has juggled multiple productions. But I would have to think that those 2 Avengers movies, especially in terms of, you know, losing a little bit of goodwill with the fans, that they are going to try to focus on those and not spread their talent out too thin. But I could be wrong.
Okay. Michael, what are your thoughts on these comments from Benedict Cumberbatch, and what's your belief of where we're going to get Doctor Strange 3? Who's going to direct it? And are you bummed out that he's not going to be in Doomsday, but he's going to be a lot in Secret Wars?
I'm not bummed out. I mean, the story is the story. Like, you know, there was a bunch of characters that were barely in I could say, was I bummed out that Tom Holland was barely in Endgame? Like, no, there's a good reason, and it worked out. So it's really all dependent on the story. To Shannon's point about, you know, the only thing we have to go by right now is the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars. So we sort of keep going back to that. Although just like with Infinity War and Endgame, this is definitely going to be its own story. But given a lot of what we've heard about the next Spider-Man movie not being on Battleworld or a version of the multiverse or anything like that, it sounds like the Marvel universe isn't collapsing by the end of Doomsday. And if the Marvel universe isn't collapsing, you don't really have a need for Doctor Strange and Clea to show up and say, hey, we've been fighting all these incursions. You guys are next. So it does seem like they're sort of saving some stuff. So it'll be interesting to see. It would make sense in just my story brain that Doctor Strange 3 would be like one of those secret movies that comes out before Secret Wars to go, now let's catch up with Doctor Strange and Clea on this crazy adventure and tie it into everything to set the stage for Secret Wars. But I do agree with Shannon from a scheduling standpoint. That seems kind of bonkers. So I don't know. Like, but he did say, like, we do know that Charlize is going to be in Doctor Strange 3. Do we know that for sure? Or is that like, so, you know, it's hard to say. Cause like all we've seen of Charlize Theron is a post-credit sequence where she was like, hey, 3-eyed man, come follow me into this hole so we can fight incursions. And we were like, oh, okay. And so they did that. And that's what we know. So, you know, it's like there does seem, it feels like, I think what we keep talking around is that if you know the comics, or if you're just looking at where all of these characters exist, even if you don't know the comics and you're just looking at the MCU right now, it definitely feels like we've missed a few chapters somewhere. Like, it definitely feels like Shang-Chi, well, done the post-credits sequence, wasn't Shang-Chi's sister supposed to go bad? And then Doctor Strange and Clea ran away, and then, well, nobody knows who Spider-Man is, so what's happening there? And so it just feels like you missed a couple months at the comic book store, and you come back and they're like, Doomsday. And you're like, what happened? What happened to everybody? So that's why it's like you keep going, well, maybe they're going to slip this movie in here, or maybe they're going to slip that there. But I think that the reality is these 2 big Avengers movies are going to have to do a whole lot of heavy lifting.
That's what it feels like to me. What about you, Shan? Do you feel like it's going to be a lot of heavy lifting from these 2 movies and filling in a lot of the holes in the story they've been trying to lead to?
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we talked about a couple of months ago when I was one of my questions was, is the board really set? Or are we just kind of or are we just going to kind of jump in? Like we know what we're getting this year, and the one that
Mhm.
seems that is going to be the most essential to the Avengers movies is Fantastic Four. The
Yes.
the promise of Sam's first big screen adventure is Cap. Fingers crossed. Hope it's great. Thunderbolts. People say it's supposed to be really, really good, but those seem like very terrestrial adventures.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to go from Fantastic Four in July, and I mean, I don't know what comes out, if anything comes out before Doomsday in
Right.
May. But if you're basically going Fantastic Four to Doomsday, and Doomsday is going to take place in our world,
Yeah.
or is it? Who knows? Who knows?
Well, Doomsday will.
You think Doomsday will be in
will.
our world? You
Yeah.
do? Okay.
Yeah.
Because it'll be establishing himself here. Doom.
I'm not saying I don't know where Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom comes into all of it and how it all works, but
Right.
Robert Downey Jr. aside, you can't do an Avengers movie in another universe without the entire cast that need to be the Avengers. So it's gonna be here. Like it's gonna be in our MCU, and we're gonna catch up with everybody, and they're gonna do whatever. But they definitely have to spin a lot more plates than you had to spin with Infinity War, and Infinity War was already a feat of spinning a lot of plates.
No. All right. Fair point. Well, a thing I didn't tell you guys about, and I'm gonna just talk about it now. They staying in the Marvel train. This is Daredevil. It is a show that's coming out very soon.
What?
They dropped the episode titles. Now, should I read these to you guys, or should I not read these to you guys?
How spoilery are we talking?
I don't think they're spoilery. That's the thing. So I want to make sure.
Then I say read them.
Okay, I shall read them.
If you say chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, I'm hanging up.
So here are and these are not in any particular order. All the sites made it clear these are not in any particular order. So one of the titles is Heaven's Half Hour, With Interest, The Hollow of His Hand, Straight to Hell, Sic Semper Systema, Isle of Joy, Excessive Force, Art, that seems like a Punisher episode, Art for Art's Sake, which is probably Muse, and then Optics. So those are the titles for the 9 episodes. And again, according to My Time to Shine, hello, they're saying that Charlie Cox confirmed that the cameras will start rolling on Born Again's second season before the season 1 premiere. So they're going to already start shooting. And there's rumors about a season 3, but apparently they're holding off on season 3 until they see how people respond to season 1 overall. So anything in these titles, and do you like the fact that they're already starting to shoot the second season before season 1 appears, as is rumored?
I mean, I would think Sic Semper Systema would be Frank as well, because that's like he was a Marine.
Right.
I mean, if they're confident, absolutely start shooting the second season. That's one of the things that when a film comes out or a series comes out, and they're already at work on that next chapter, as a fan, that just gets you excited. If it comes out and it's no good, and it's like, well, guess what? You're still getting season 2 next year. I think it's funny that like we're gonna hold off on season 3 until we find out about season 1. It's like,
if you guys like it first.
That seems a little counterproductive, but okay.
See if we're going in the right direction. So Michael, Sic Semper Systema, just to correct Shannon a little bit, is a play on the Latin phrase Sic Semper Tyrannis, which is thus always to tyrants. I think that's what John Wilkes Booth screamed as he jumped off the stage after he shot Lincoln. So this could be something that,
what a dummy. Yep.
Yeah, it's been referred to Wilson Fisk and his rise to power, possibly, or someone trying to take him out. So what do you think of these episode titles, and do you believe that they're already going to start shooting season 2 before season 1 premieres?
I have no opinion on those episode titles.
No.
They sound great. Okay. A lot of words. Good word. Optics. Love it. But no, I'm with Shannon. Like yes, when they start filming the second season before the first season has come out, that is a sign of confidence. But it's also just better timing. Like, we live in a world now, because of the big production value on a lot of shows, and because the streaming services tend to want to wait and see and get the response and take the temperature
Yeah.
of the fans. We end up getting 1.5 years, 2 years between seasons.
That's true.
Like,
yeah, just very
let's get
frustrating.
back to like,
Yeah.
here was season 1 in this year. Season 2 will come next year. Season 3 will come the year after. Like, there used to be a time where you knew you could come back to your show in September or October when it returned. And that would be great. You know, I think about like Ahsoka. Ahsoka season 2 is going to come out, 18 years after
Yeah.
season 1?
Pretty much.
Like, okay. Like, so yes, if they are filming season 2 now, that just means we get to a second season all the sooner. And that's great.
Yeah. Do you think Dick Wolf is like, Jesus Christ, what's the problem, guys? You know, do
Yeah.
you think all these showrunners go, you guys are being a little too sensitive. Just fucking shoot the show. Right?
Back in my day, I made 26 episodes a year.
Do you think he ever calls Feige and's like, you're missing 2 things, Kev? Law and order.
Oh boy. Yikes. Yikes. I do think there are TV showrunners who look at this and go, you guys are way too prissy. You're only doing 10 episodes and you're being this fucking crazy about it. Like, try doing 24 of these a year with interconnected universes, by the way, and characters and storylines and overarching storylines. We do it all the time.
Well, they never did 24 episodes a year with interconnected shows and story. Like, hey, let's just be.
Dare you? Law and Order had numerous seasons with interconnected storylines. Benjamin Bratt's wife as Epitha Murkison's cancer. What are you talking about, Michael J. Vogel? What do you mean by this, man? What do you mean?
No. That you had shows like, at the best, you had
Yeah.
shows that existed in the same universe that occasionally had something that crossed over.
Oh, the crossover. Oh, yeah.
But these weren't interconnected universes where all the pieces were. Get out of here.
I mean, Sopranos had the Jersey family and the New York family. They intersected. I'm just saying. Johnny Sack. No. All right. Anything more you guys want to say on this Marvel stuff? Anything more? There might be other stuff that pops up with the questions or whatever, but is there anything more you guys want to say? Or shall we move on?
It's going to be a wild year.
Yes.
We are about, because
Yes.
we're close. We've been talking about it, and like the trailers have come out and we've talked about it, but we're right on the cusp of diving into all of this. Like, it's like, we got next month, we got Brave New World, then going right into Daredevil, right into Thunderbolt. Like, it's just like the dominoes are starting to fall. So the countdown to Doomsday is about to get a lot busier than it's been in the past year.
I hope you guys enjoyed January and put your feet up a little bit. Once February it's going to get hairy. Let's talk about this story here. Should we do it? Let's do it. Let's talk about this one. So, oh no, not that one. Let's talk about this one. There it is. So apparently Ryan Gosling is in talks to star in the new Star Wars movie that Shawn Levy was directing. Apparently he was kicking around a boy band movie, reuniting Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds and bringing in Ryan Gosling to possibly be a part of this project. And then they got to talking, and all of a sudden Ryan expressed interest in the Star Wars movie, and then talks were immediately commenced. That boy band thing was shelved or pushed to the side, and now this is happening. So, gentlemen, Ryan Gosling here in Shawn Levy's Star Wars film. Do you buy this? Do you like this? Does this make sense? He's coming off of Fall Guy, which was a bit of an underperformer. Shawn Levy is coming off of Deadpool Wolverine, which was an overperformer. So do you like this combo of Star Wars in the Star Wars universe?
I just want him to sing a song that's called I'm Just Ren.
Oh, man.
Ryan Gosling, like Fall Guy, I didn't think was the best movie.
Okay.
I didn't think it was funny enough. I think Ryan Gosling is funny enough. I think the chemistry that he and Emily Blunt had was great. The movie just was not. It just didn't check off enough boxes for me. So as a big box office leading man, he doesn't have that yet. I think the quickest way to make that happen is put him in a Star Wars movie.
I guess so.
But even though like he is in negotiations to be in it, until this thing is shooting, I am not holding my breath because even though Shawn Levy's coming off a huge win, and despite Fall Guys underperformance, Ryan Gosling is still a very likable leading actor.
Sure.
Until they are shooting at this point, I have no faith in a galaxy far, far away on the big screen.
Okay. Michael, what do you think about this news? And do you share Shannon's skepticism that it's actually even going to happen?
Listen, betting on a Star Wars movie is betting on a losing hand of sabacc. Let's just put it that way. Like it is none of these things have made it out of the gate. You know, like Mandalorian and Grogu is the only thing that's made it out of the gate. And I am personally very nervous about that movie. First off, I want to say, I want to see this boy band movie with Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, and Ryan Gosling in it, because that sounds a bunch of old boy band people coming back together, and it's the three of them and whoever the fuck else you put in it. Put Jack Black in as the fourth member. I don't care. That sounds like a fucking win, and I want to see that movie. I will also say, if Shawn Levy just took the two movies and mushed them together and did a boy band in space, like, hey, we were big in Mos Eisley, and now we're getting the band back together for that big Coruscant concert, I'd be in. Like, I'm like, sounds great.
Okay.
I do share Shannon's skepticism with any Star Wars movie, but given Shawn Levy's track record and the potential addition of Ryan Gosling, I think that this one maybe is gonna just like they're punching the hyperdrive. Like it just feels like this one might be getting fast tracked. It's like, well, for whatever reason, they feel really excited about it. I think one of the reasons is, and I don't actually love this, is they've said that this is not connected to the rest of the Skywalker saga.
It is not connected to the Skywalker saga.
I do think as not the ratings, but kind of the fan and critical response to Skeleton Crew shows, sometimes doing something that's not connected to the bigger universe seems like it's easier to get everybody on board. I think where Lucasfilm gets really tripped up is, what is the next chapter of the epic mythology that George Lucas created without the benefit of having George Lucas around? And I think that is the question that has stumped most of the biggest names in Hollywood who have come in to try and crack these stories, because nobody seems to be happy with it. So Shawn Levy comes in and says, hey, I got this idea. It's set on this planet. It's this guy. He rolls around. There's a Wookiee. We got some Gungans. And everyone's like, this sounds delightful. Is kind of like, all right, then maybe this is the easiest thing to move forward. And I mean, there would be a time where I would have not wanted to see a star at the level of Ryan Gosling. Like, I kind of like Star Wars to me usually does better when it's like a cast of young people who are about to break out, people who are known but not super known. But at this point, maybe Star Wars needs some star power.
Is he the biggest A-lister when he took the role ever? Because I saw some reports saying that, and I wasn't sure where Liam Neeson sat on that totem pole.
Liam Neeson was big. I mean, like, look, but Phantom Menace had that balance of like, Ewan McGregor had done some stuff. Natalie Portman had already done plenty at her age, and Liam Neeson came in kind of a really featured role that didn't make it through the first movie. He kind of kicked the movie off and gave you some star power and then got the fuck out. It wasn't the Qui-Gon Jinn movie. Whereas this feels like they're setting it up to be Ryan Gosling's our lead. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but I do share Shannon's skepticism in that, look, it's like we've said 1,000 times. I love Star Wars, and I am always going to love Star Wars. But I definitely feel like I'm loving my team when they're not doing the best this season lately.
Oh, I see. Wow. Sports reference. Shout out. I will say this. I do not share the skepticism of you two. I think this is going to happen. This one feels the most sure I've felt about a film that's going to happen of the most recent things that have been announced. So I think because it looks like they're going to move this one up, right? And so this may be what they put in motion. But it's interesting because I'm going to connect it to the other story I'm going to talk about next. But
wait,
like,
really quick,
right
really
now,
quick. I have a question.
Yeah, sure,
I have a
sure.
question. Are you as sure that this is going to go forward as you were sure that Thunderbolts was not going to happen?
That's a great question. Because just because it did happen doesn't mean I wasn't as sure, right? So,
oh, you were sure.
Yeah, so I'm
very sure.
I'm sure this movie is going to happen.
All right.
As I'm sure. I mean, you're asking me what my feeling was, right? The end result is irrelevant. What I'm feeling is that, yes, it feels like it's going to happen. Just like I felt that movie wasn't going to happen. So, what the end result is irrelevant. You're asking what my feeling was. So, yeah. But let's connect it up to something else. And this broke today. And that is there is a new writer for the Rey movie. George Nolfi, who you see there doing his best Stephen Lang impression. He is known for his screenplay work on movies such as The Bourne Ultimatum and Ocean's 12. He has been tapped to write New Jedi Order, the Daisy Ridley-centric Star Wars movie here. And this is the he is the latest writer to come in after Damon Lindelof and Justin Britt Gibson. And Stephen Knight took a shot at this one. Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy is still technically directing this one. So an interesting writer to come in and write this one, an older writer, kind of a spotty track record. Although I did like Adjustment Bureau. He directed that and wrote that. I think that's an underappreciated film from Matt Damon with Emily Blunt, but it doesn't excite me. And this is almost like a Friday dump news, like almost like right at the end of Friday on the East Coast, we're going to release that he's the writer. So your thoughts on this, and does this feel like it's going to happen, or are they just kind of throwing another writer in this to see what they can do, and we can say, well, we gave it all we could. In the end, we couldn't make it work. Michael, you were just saying about breaking stories. Do you think this is the final straw, and then they'll just go back to the drawing board? Bring
up that picture of the two of them again.
Okay.
Daisy Ridley's expression right here is how I feel about this movie.
That's her natural face. She's not.
That is not. She has a. She that is a. Daisy Ridley looks like that's a. Do I have to be here expression, if I've ever seen one. I think this is the man. Look, does this announcement excite me? No. Does that mean he's going to do a bad job? No. Do I think he's going to write a draft and turn it in and they're going to say nope? And then 3 months from now, we're going to hear that the guy that wrote the Garfield movie with Chris Pratt is writing the New Jedi Order movie? Yeah. Like, I think that they're just going down the list. And I think this is the problem, is they've had some really good writers.
Stephen Knight is an excellent writer. Yes, you're right.
Like, they've had some really good writers on this, and they've all left. And many of them have come out and said, some version of I love Star Wars, and this was one of the worst experiences of my life as a writer.
Yeah.
And I think that this is the problem, is that they are shooting in the dark here. Like, you want to, like, John Watts comes in and says, hey, I want to do Goonies in space on a planet and have Jude Law be a pirate. Great. Right. Shawn Levy comes in and says, I got an idea. I was talking to Ryan Gosling about it. He's excited. It has nothing to do with the Skywalker saga. Okay, cool. Even Mandalorian and Grogu, which is peripherally tied to the bigger Star Wars universe, you're like, all right, well, we're going to do this adventure that takes place between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. And there was a lot of pirates, and the New Republic didn't really have their shit together. And we've got some thoughts. As soon as you clear Rise of Skywalker, everybody is scared shitless.
Yes.
And nobody has any clue what Star Wars even is.
Okay.
And so any writer coming in is going, hey, here's what I think. Like, I have my thoughts on it. If I went in tomorrow and said, I think this, I would have Pablo Hidalgo and everybody at Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger. You have literally some of the most powerful people in Hollywood going, oh yeah, I don't think that's, we can't do that. Nope, we're not touching that. Well, George would never have done that. Well, Filoni's doing this and he says you can't do that. And you just have all of these people going, here's what you can't do, here's what you can't do. I don't love this, I don't like this, but I don't know that anybody is sitting down and going, this is what Star Wars is.
Right. Well, mostly because Michael Vogel didn't fight to get the job. But yes, that's absolutely here. But you look, Shannon, look at George. I mean, you go from Lindelof to Stephen Knight, arguably comparable. And then you go to George Nolfi. And no offense to George Nolfi, as I said. He also did The Banker.
No offense.
Which a lot of people liked with him and Anthony Mackie. He also did Anthony Mackie's most recent post-apocalyptic film. I think Elevation is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
So a bit of a spotty track record as a writer, as a director, because Adjustment Bureau didn't do that well at the box office. So does this feel like to you like they're just going with something safe, or they're just doing a last gasp thing and then eventually they're going to shut this thing down?
I don't think he's the type of name that you announce willy-nilly, because he's one of those guys. Like George Nolfi was one of the folks that was up to direct Winter Soldier. After Adjustment Bureau. It was the Russo brothers, it was him, and it was F. Gary Gray. Wow. And he's one of those guys, one of those writer-directors that has kind of brushed with big jobs, and it just hasn't gone his way. Now, does that mean he's not good? No, of course not. I mean, like, no, of course there are a lot of talented people in Hollywood who never get that break. Yeah. I mean, he did get to write and direct the Adjustment Bureau. He did get to write and direct The Banker. So, and also I think he's like a script doctor too. So
yeah, discovering that and doing some research before the show started. Yeah.
He's one of the guys that, you know, productions bring on when they're like, hey, we need another pass at this. We need another pass at that. So there is certainly the possibility that maybe this is going to be his big break. But also when you talk about Damon Lindelof, when you talk about Stephen Knight, these are very, very established guys. Yeah. And at this point, I do kind of wonder, does Lucasfilm want someone just to say yes? Like, this is our note, just do it. Whereas as if like this was Lindelof's idea, I guess, Lindelof was just like, no, that's not my idea. And Lucasfilm like, well, we want to go this way. And Stephen Knight's like, I'll try to go that way. I think we should go this way. Like, nope, just do what we're telling you to do. George Nolfi might be that guy. Like, he doesn't have a lot the clout to push back. And if this is something that he wants to do, if he wants that big break, this could be it.
I mean, I like the idea of someone coming in here at the last minute to maybe take another shot at this thing and see if they can break it. And you might be right, Shannon. This might be him getting that final break. Clearly wasn't the first choice, but maybe just the way the wheel came around, you know, okay, you're going to tackle it and do something. But I also have a weird feeling about this that as I presented to you guys, it feels to me like this is, okay, we'll go one last round with this one, and then we'll see what we go from here. And, you know, I asked you guys earlier, and it was going to be the original title of the episode, is Rey even going to come back? Do we think Rey will appear in the Shawn Levy film? Because I feel now, and there are rumors already popping up that she's not going to be in that movie. And then what if the Rey movie goes the way of the dodo? Then this whole fanfare of bringing Daisy back to play Rey goes right out the door. And I wonder if this is also Disney looking at the landscape. I don't know, this is going to get the cockles going on my friend Michael Vogel, but looking at the landscape after Trump's been elected, and you've seen all these anti-woke, anti-women Star Wars YouTube channels. Well, I guess they're not anti-women, but anti-woke, saying like, oh, I don't want a female lead. I don't want a person of color in the lead. And they go, well, you know, maybe we're going to rethink how we're going to approach Star Wars. And maybe we'll just focus on mostly white male leads or white male leads going forward. And we'll, you know, maybe we won't bring back Boyega. Maybe we won't bring back Daisy Ridley, and we'll focus on what we've got here. And you're going to say, oh, well, Pedro is Latino. Yeah, but he's under a mask the whole fucking time. So what do you guys think? Do you think Rey, is this the last gasp of Rey, or do you think Rey will absolutely come back and would be a part of one of these two projects, if not both of them?
I think the intention, I don't think the intention is to bring the character back. I think the intention is to find a good story that they want to tell. And if she is a part of that idea, I think that's where Rey comes back. Because, I mean, bringing up the election, if it had gone the other way, the people that didn't want Rey still would not want Rey. I mean, like,
yeah, but maybe they wouldn't feel the need to listen to them because maybe that's not the majority of the country, and maybe they think it's the majority of the country. I'm just saying, Bob Iger's a businessman. He's a businessman, you know, and I just throwing it out there.
It doesn't. I wouldn't think that's the way it would go, because at the end of the day, it sounds like the issue is not Rey's involvement in this movie. It's that they can't crack the story. That they can't find the story that they want to tell.
Right.
No, I think there is a case for, you know, you're reading about DEI initiatives being rolled back.
Yeah.
I think that's clearly happening. Do I think that is the case here with this specific example? Not to me.
Okay. All right. Michael, your thoughts on all this, please.
Okay. I'm trying to think of exactly how to phrase this properly.
Okay.
There are DEI initiatives being rolled back all over the place. Trump, in his few days of office, has already made a huge deal about rolling back DEI. I don't think that means that storytellers are all of a sudden not putting women or people of color in movies. Now, does that mean that that is going to shift and we're going to see less movies, or we're going to see more white leads? Like, I'm not saying it's not going to have an effect, but I don't think that they're going, we were going to make a Rey movie. Trump is president. Daisy Ridley's out. Find a white guy. Like, I think that the reason they want to use Rey is that's what they have.
Right.
Like, they made 3 movies about this person who at the end of the movie was like, I'm Rey Skywalker. Now, there are absolutely people that are just going to get pissed that you put a woman as the lead in a Star Wars movie. And I don't know what to tell you about those people. But there are also people that don't like Rey because she is a wonky character. And that's not Daisy Ridley's fault.
No, it's the writing.
That's because
right.
J.J. Abrams said, I'm going to do a story where I have a character who gets all of the Force powers very, very quickly, faster than Luke Skywalker did, and that rubs people wrong. And then Ryan Johnson said, cool, I'm going to have her realize that she's a nobody because I think that's more interesting. And then J.J. Abrams said, well, she's a nobody, one generation removed. She's really a Palpatine. And so Daisy Ridley did her fucking best. And then she was in a movie where Kylo Ren was her enemy. And then she was in a movie where Kylo Ren was her frenemy. And then she loved Kylo Ren. Like, so I think when people, and I think this is really what the issue is that Kathleen Kennedy and Charmaine Obed-Chinoy are like, Rey is it. We're doing Rey. We got this Rey. But what does that mean? Aside from we're putting this female lead in the movie, which is what it is. It's like, what's the story for Rey? And I think because we can all argue about Luke Skywalker or Han Solo or Leia and say these movies got these characters right, these movies got these characters wrong. And even though we don't all agree on all aspects of it, we all have a general sense of who these characters are and what they represent. What is Rey? Rey is a blank slate. And so I think the issue that they're having is there's a lot of people that are putting a lot on Rey, but I think what the people that don't want Rey in a new movie are afraid of is they're just going to get more of what they got, which is a character that is more of a vessel of look at this awesome person in the Star Wars universe and not a character. If somebody came in and cracked a absolutely kick-ass Rey story and put it on screen and said, this is who Rey is now, I think a large portion of the Star Wars fandom that doesn't like Rey would be like, oh, thank you. Okay, now we're okay with it. We don't like where she came from, but we're good with this now. And so I think that that's the issue. And that's the long way of saying, I don't think that Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm and Bob Iger are all sitting there going, oh, Trump's president, let's change all the initiatives. I think they still want to do a good Rey story. I just really question what that story is.
Yeah, and I'd love to find out what the issues were on all these scripts before, right?
Yeah.
I know what you said, Michael. Oh, you just can't crack it. Why can't they crack it? Are the requirements constantly changing with each new writer because of the timing of it? Oh, now we want to do this. So we've moved this around. Now we need you to make this work. You know, is there too much of an ask going on here to these writers in order to make this stuff happen? That's a question that you would want to look at and find out. And maybe some point down the road, we'll get a book about this, like we got that MCU book that would let us know what was going on behind the scenes for real. Go ahead, Mike. You said, oh, Shannon. Go ahead. Mike.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike. Well,
I was going to say, yep. Live show. Happy hour.
You go.
Nope, you go. I'm stopping. Yep.
So when Damon Lindelof went in and pitched this,
yes,
he did not have everything figured out from beginning to end. Like that's generally what happens in pitches is a studio puts out a call to writers, to creators, like, hey, we want to do this type of thing, or do you have any ideas that are kind of like this? And then they go in and pitch the broad strokes of what their idea is. Now they might have like their theme figured out, and what they want the story to do. They might not have the plot totally figured out, and that's kind of what happens. Is they're like, hey, we like this idea. We're going to hire you to write a treatment or write an outline, and through that process, that's when you start to. That's one way that they start to find the differences of like, oh, we don't like that. What about this? Oh, well, I don't like that. What about this? I mean, it's a very fluid process. So more than likely, Damon Lindelof had a really strong idea that got them excited, but the inner workings of that idea and stuff may have shifted. I mean, that you're absolutely right, John. There could have been directors like, oh, we think we're going to do something else with this character, so try something else. That's sort of the creative and development process of how something works. Like, Vogel has far more experience with this than I do on both sides of the table. I'm sure he can tell you some fantastic story. Well, we'll see if he'll tell some fantastic story. He's drinking coffee. He's not drinking booze tonight.
Well, okay. And I hear that. And so we'll see what happens. I just get those vibes going on with our current landscape all across the board, by the way. Like you mentioned, the DEI initiatives. This morning, CNN demoted Jim Acosta because he's a big anti-Trump person. We see CBS is possibly negotiating a payment out to Trump because they edited the Kamala Harris interview. So this idea that Jeff yesterday pushed back. He's like, oh, he's not involved in the minutia. No, everything is important now. Everything is being looked at. Everything is being analyzed. And I think a lot of these media companies are afraid that he is going to turn his attention towards them and then start to come after them. And certainly Disney has been the focus of a lot of the red state, anti-woke, MAGA Trump people complaining about DEI, complaining about women leads, complaining about these things that are being the trans storylines, LGBT being, quote, shoved down their throats. And so you see that trans storyline was kicked out of that Pixar series. Mm-hmm. The two women who played the mothers on KB were barely in that series. And so you're seeing these little things that are already caping to this point of view. And so I don't think it's too much of a stretch to believe that Disney's going, we're going to chill out on this for a little bit.
Yes and no. I mean, this is a little bit of that Donald Trump is now the boogeyman that jumps out of every person's closet for every single reason in the world. Like, first of all, there's a difference between Jim Acosta on CNN or CBS News having an issue about a specific, that is actually about politics or covering the president versus a galaxy far, far away. Secondly, even when you're saying absolutely, the trans community is in the most danger right now. And I feel bad for all of my trans friends because that is the one community that Trump singled out in executive orders. And that is the one place where studios across the board have taken a giant step back. But the difference between Pixar taking out an entire storyline about a trans character in their new TV series that's coming to Disney Plus, which I don't love, and saying, well, those lesbian parents in Skeleton Crew were barely in it. We don't know that those lesbian parents had a bigger role and that it was cut. Like, Neil's parents weren't in it a lot too. I don't think that there was Neil's species issues. Like, I think those parents didn't have the same featured role as the main parents. So I'm a little bit reticent to jump on every single thing and say, if you are not a white male and you didn't have a big role, everything is because of DEI. Like, sometimes it's for other reasons. And I think in the case of this Rey movie, if it doesn't happen, it has less to do with DEI and more to do with Rey as a character that is a bit of a mess.
That's fair. But I mean, I don't think you can look at things in a vacuum and you say, oh, well, just this one thing. But it's a pattern that's been developing with Disney for the last few years, right? We've seen that they have like only cursory looked at certain issues or only kind of, oh, yes, we'll have a gay kiss, but it's real quick as the door's closing. You know, it's these
I'm
little
not
things that
defending.
lead to-
I'm not defending Disney and saying they do everything
there's a
right when it
pattern
comes to
here. It can't be a
representation. I think Disney does a fuck ton wrong when it comes to representation. I don't like what they did in the Pixar movie. I think that what they do in their other movies, whether you want to talk about the gay LeFou in Beauty and the Beast or the gay character in Rise of Skywalker, it's like piss poor, stupid. Like representation in general, and particularly representation for queer people, is a mess right now on any big franchise, Marvel, everything. Like with the exception of Agatha All Along being pretty much the gayest show I've ever seen in my life and doing great. Awesome. Yeah. But I think that what I'm saying is not that Disney does it great or that there's not an issue that needs to be addressed. I'm saying that where I get very, Shannon just left. Shannon's like, fuck it, I'm out. Where I get very, where I get very just like, I want to make sure that we're all level setting is, I don't think that we can look at every single issue in the world and say it's all Trump's fault. It's all DEI. It's all that. Like,
but I'm not saying that. I'm not saying every issue in the world. I'm just saying with this particular, and it's not even the idea that it's Trump's fault. It's more a matter of like Bob Iger is a businessman, looks at the country. The country has voted this person in, which means the country might be a majority this way. Then I will adjust my content to cater to that majority a little bit more, because I am a businessman and I will make more money going that direction than I did the other direction, right? I mean, the reason they started doing this, don't get it twisted. The reason they started being more inclusive and more diversity is not because they were like, well, I found my morality under this rock here. It was because they thought, okay, everyone is wanting this. It seems like on social media and everywhere, let's start doing this. You know, like Me Too happened. The BLM stuff happened. Let's change our content. Let's put more black people in it. Let's get more women, let's go more people of color. They went that direction because the public was pushing them to go in that direction. So as a businessman, Iger could look at this and go, well, the public clearly got sick of that. Let's go back to where it was before, because that's what they want. So I'm not saying I'm not turning Trump into a boogeyman. I'm saying this is, as a businessman, when you're looking at the landscape, you can't fault him if he does make that decision, you know?
The other piece of it, though, there's a lot of truth to it. The other piece of it is that in any, you're right. There's the executive level people like the Bob Igers, and they tend to go with, okay, I'm a businessman. I've got to appeal to my shareholders. I've got to appeal. I don't want to have controversy. I don't want to have all these things. Most studios at the creative level, the creatives are usually on the more progressive side. The creators are usually the ones that want it. So there's always a push and pull within the studios. So there's always a desire to push the boundary of what we're doing, tell different stories, tell other things. And then there's that top level being like, ooh, let's not get too crazy. Yeah. So it's a constant push and pull even internally.
Yeah, fair point. And Shannon, anything you want to chime in on with this? Anything you want to say, or do you want to kind of leave this alone?
Well, no, I would say like in terms of, and I'm speaking from an actor's point of view here. Like the diversity push, that was before Trump. Like, but that was also from the creative side. I mean, when you got to like, I might be wrong, but when you got to the studio level, they didn't care as much. I mean, they just wanted to make sure that it was a good performance, because when you audition for a role, you have to be approved. It goes up a ladder. Like the producers have to pick you. You have to be approved by the studio. You have to be approved by the network. What happened was the network and the studio started to get involved, and that's when they were like, no, we have to have a more diverse slate. So it became a mandate from them. It was something the creatives were already kind of doing. So what it sounds like, again, from an actor's point of view, is the networks and studios, they might be lifting that, but the creatives are still going to be pushing for that same thing. I mean, maybe I'm wrong that the networks and studios are going to come down and be like, only cast straight white guys. I don't think that's going to happen. But that's kind of my take on it.
You know, and I totally understand that. It's more a matter of what I think, I wouldn't be surprised if this starts happening is all I'm getting at. And, I remember we had some of our friends who are actors, white actors, were getting frustrated because all of a sudden they weren't getting as many auditions because there was a push for more diversity. And I wonder if maybe the wormwood turn the other way now because people feel a certain way. But we'll see. As you said, progressives, but it doesn't mean the studio has to greenlight those things. The studio could be like, you know what? No, it's too
100%.
progressive of a storyline. I
Sure.
don't like it. Make it more conservative. Taylor Sheridan is exploding right now. And I would argue Taylor is much more of a middle of the road type of conservative. He makes fun of both sides in a lot of his content. If you really watch it, not just cursory watch it, actually watch it, he makes fun of both sides. But it does lean in a certain direction at times. So this is, and he's massive, huge. So I think there is a little bit of a movement going on in media where it's, let's look towards this. Let's kind of change a little bit. So I don't know what's going to happen. And I wouldn't be surprised if studios start making that decision as well. But, you know, Michael, you might be right. It's just like, well, there's a lot of progressives here. And
I don't think that you're wrong. Like, I don't think that things are shifting. But I think that a lot of that, and you said this before, a lot of that is less, I'm sure that Trump casts a very big shadow. I know that I said I don't think we need to make him the boogeyman on every issue, but yes, him getting elected and the number of people in the country voting in a more conservative way is definitely something that everyone's going to be aware of. But Hollywood is still going to continually push an envelope and be as progressive as they can be, but it's ultimately dollars and cents. And when you look at the past few years at the box office, and you've said this, whether it be In the Heights or The Color, you can go down the list of movies where movies that were very representing the queer community or the Black community or the Latin community came out and the audiences didn't show up. And to your point about Taylor Sheridan can release any show he wants and it like fucking explodes. So at the end of the day, if we want more diversity in our storytelling, we need to respond to more diversity in our storytelling.
Yeah. And the storytelling has to get better. Those are those things as well around the diversity aspect of it. Well, that's good. It's a good conversation. I wanted to kind of get that out there. So one last thing as we wrap up Star Wars, Christian Harloff broke this on Monday, but it was debunked possibly on Tuesday by Star Wars Newsnet. But he had heard from a number of his sources that Natalie Portman might be in talks to return as Padme Amidala for season 2 of Ahsoka. What Jeff Snyder said last night on the hot mic is that from his sources, she had shot stuff already years ago for, I think it was the Kenobi show or the Boba Fett show. She had shot a few scenes already while she was doing Love and Thunder, but they ended up not using those scenes. So maybe there's some confusion on the story, but let's deal with the general story. Would you want to see Natalie Portman back as Padme Amidala? I mean, we had the welcome back home thing for Ahmed Best. We had it for Christensen, for Hayden Christensen. So wouldn't this make sense? And with Jar Jar, a lot of has been redeemed there as a character. Do we think this makes sense to bring Padme back? And remember, Tales of the Jedi had that sequence where Ahsoka was at Padme's funeral, but was not seen by anybody other than Bail Organa. So do you guys think this is possible? Would you like to see this, or do you think this is probably not going to happen?
I don't think they're going to ever do a Padme-centric project, live action. I think that time has passed more than likely. Okay. The only reason to use her is if it makes story sense. I mean, you know, with computer graphics nowadays, you can de-age someone, you can put them in dark lighting. If it made sense in Obi-Wan season 2 or Ahsoka season 2 to have a flashback to Padme, absolutely. If she wanted to do it, 100%.
Like a Clone Wars thing like we got with Hayden?
Sure. I mean, but again, Natalie Portman headlining a Star Wars project. I mean, she did. So it's probably, I don't think they're going to de-age her for 2 hours for a film.
Right. Well, what are you, Mike? Do you think you would like to see her in Ahsoka season 2 as one of these world within worlds type of moments, or do you think that's not going to happen? What are your thoughts?
I mean, she's not a Jedi. Why would she be in the world within worlds? Like, it doesn't make sense.
That's a great. All right.
But fair point. Like, so the only reason you have Natalie Portman is that Ahsoka has some kind of flashback to her time during the Clone Wars when she hung out with Padme, which she did all the time. Right. So like, there has to be a really compelling reason. Like, Ahsoka seeing Anakin is a big deal.
Yes.
Like, that's her master. Like, that was a big deal. Seeing Padme in a flashback, it feels like it's like a fan service thing and not like a real, like, I unless there was like some huge story reason, but I just don't know what that would be.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to see it. It may be a Clone Wars flashback thing because we got that because Ariana Greenblatt and Ewan are rumored to be coming back. So maybe and Ariana is now, 18 years old. So she kind of physically could look like Ahsoka as we saw her as Snips, which would be interesting. So maybe there's something there in a flashback world within worlds thing where they go into this particular time and we see her there, and so they could de-age her, maybe not for 2 hours, Shannon, but maybe for a few minutes, and it might work in that way. So I would love to see it because I know Natalie had a lot of issues making those movies and went through a crisis of confidence, and what have you. So I think it'd be nice for her to get her flowers because she deserves it for having still made an iconic character, even though she's probably struggling through a lot of the making of those movies. So all right, we'll see what happens with that. Let's move on to some DC stuff, gentlemen. Let me bring this up. Oh, no, actually, real quick. What are your thoughts on this? Ocean's 14. This is apparently being discussed here. David Leitch coming on to direct Ocean's 14. Clooney and Pitt are coming back. Everyone else is rumored to possibly be coming back that are still alive, obviously, without Bernie Mac and Carl Reiner. But Shannon, do you like this idea? David Leitch, not the greatest of storytellers, certainly great action. So the movies are around 6 or 7, not 8 or 9. So what do you think here?
Like as we talked about earlier with Fall Guy, I don't think David Leitch shoots comedy great. And the Ocean's films, they are comedies, but also they're very, very cool.
Yeah.
And even though all of these guys are getting older, I think you still want that cool factor.
Yeah.
Like when Conclave Burger was up for it, I was kind of like, that one didn't really make a lot of sense to me either. But I mean, between the two, he makes more sense than David Leitch. I mean, these have never been action films. Like they've had action sequences.
Right.
So another Ocean's film, watching those guys get to just hang out again, that's fun. Like, I don't think those movies are the best. I think Ocean's 11 is great, and it's sort of law of diminishing returns. But watching those guys have another go, I think would be cool. I just don't know if Leitch is the guy. At this point, I don't know why Clooney didn't direct it.
That's a great point. What about you, Michael? Do you like this idea, or do you think it's not that exciting?
Yeah, I don't care. I'll go see it. I'll go see Ocean's 25. Like, I don't care.
Okay.
If it's those guys and you put them in a movie, am I gonna go? Yeah, I'm gonna go. Like but also like my bar of enjoyment is low. Like if it's not like I don't like the Ocean's movies to me are. I'm trying to think of the right example, but like it's sort of like just I want to see these actors hang out for 2 hours on screen. And you get all of like my favorite actors of that era. You have that era. You put in a couple new people, bring in frickin' Chalamet or like whoever. Put Tom Holland in there. I don't give a shit. But it's just a let's throw Zendaya and Tom Holland in there with like Damon and Clooney. Bring Julia Roberts back. Put them all in a movie. You could have anybody direct it. I'm gonna go and be like, cool. Give me like a boom, ba-da-da, bop, bop, ba-doop, bop, boom, bop, beep, bop music and put them in Vegas. I'm in. Ocean's 35. I'm gonna roll myself there in the wheelchair, see that movie, buy myself some popcorn, even though my nurse says I shouldn't eat any more of it.
The crew escaping out of a senior home facility. I like the idea. And Andy Garcia is still coming after them. Yesterday we were kicking around the idea of who could be a villain and in this movie, because I think it should be somebody who can finally match Clooney toe to toe and actually rattle Danny a little bit. I don't think Garcia did that. I don't think Pacino did that. Whatever Cassell did that in 12.
Definitely.
So who could go toe to toe with George and maybe unsettle him? Somebody suggested Colin Farrell. Christian Bale could be interesting in a toe to toe. Austin Butler was kicked around. Is there anyone that you guys would think of that could go toe to toe with Clooney and match the smoothness of Clooney and maybe make him question his ability to still get the job done.
Well, I don't think you want to try to out Clooney. I think you have to go completely in the opposite direction.
Oh,
yeah, you go fucking McConaughey.
See, I was gonna say Jesse Eisenberg.
Oh my God.
I cannot take this. I cannot take this frantic nerdy guy.
Yeah, Jeff said it could be like somebody computer related that because of like an Elon Musk type guy that could completely unsettle him. That could be interesting as a villain. Ooh,
I want to like have Clooney have to like go up against his sister and bring Sandy in, like Sandy Bullock and Clooney. Yeah. Boom, boom. It's like which ocean are you rooting for? Ocean versus ocean.
What about Ben Affleck? He could be working opposite Damon and opposite his brother Casey. Ben could be interesting. I like the idea of Ben Affleck as the villain. Come on. All right. It doesn't seem like that's well received. All right.
You know what? You know what? Let Ben direct it.
Oh yeah, that could be fun. I think Ben could actually direct the fuck out of that. Yeah. Good call. Let's move on to some DC news. Mike and Shannon. Supergirl. James Gunn posted a photo here today. Thrilled to see cameras roll at Warner Brothers Studios at Livingston on Supergirl with Craig Gillespie at the helm and the phenomenal Millie Alcock as our Kara Zor-El, however you want to say it. Craig brings an incredible sensibility to his story, and Millie is every inch the unique Supergirl envisioned by Tom King, Ilgaz Evely, and Anna Nogura. So, Mikey, do you like this shot? Is this the bar that we see in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow? And do you think this is the tease? And what do you think of the logo there on the chair? Thoughts?
I like it. I think James Gunn needs to stop tweeting.
He said all nice things. He wasn't trying to pick anything.
It's fine, but it's just like we know it's happening. It's a great photo, James. I feel like he just walks around with his iPhone and he just snapped this one photo. You ever snap a photo and you're like, well, I gotta post this. It's a good photo.
Yeah.
Like I think he got it. He got it by accident, and he's like, well, gotta show everybody this. I don't know. It's fine. I just think that he runs the risk of let the hype happen when it needs to happen.
Okay.
Like, I'm thrilled that Supergirl is filming. I'm thrilled we're getting Supergirl before we get a lot of other things. And I'm thrilled that it's based on the Tom King story. Like, I am happy about every single aspect of this movie happening.
Okay.
But right now, the focus should be on Superman.
Okay.
Just keep the focus there. Like, let us know it started filming. Like, put it in a press release, but like, put the focus here. Keep hyping us for this, and then the hype train has to shift at a certain point. And like, it was fine, but I'm like, what is this? What is this tweet doing for me? Like, this is a ways away. We got a ways to go.
I want a one shot of Michael on set with James Gunn, constantly catching James Gunn tweeting as he's sneaking it out like under tables in the bathroom.
I would be that guy on set that I would be like, James, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Just let me finish this one. Let me get this one out.
James, do you think that tweet is going to change the world? Do you think it's going to make people mad? Go ask Kevin Feige how much he tweeted yesterday. I know what the answer is. Do you?
I need to clarify this. They're all saying it wrong. It's wrong. I just going to clarify this. Let me clarify this.
It's the internet. It's always wrong 100% of the time.
Shannon, what are your thoughts on this picture here? I'll bring it up again. Do you like? I personally love the composition of this shot. I like the colors here. I like the energy and the vibe. I know it's just one shot, but I kind of like this look and the way her hair is moving in a certain direction. What do you think of the shot? Do you like this as an announcement?
I think what Vogel is saying about James Gunn in general tweeting less, I agree, or posting less. Yes. I fully disagree about this one. I think this is the perfect way to do it because more than likely we're going to get that character in Superman. So absolutely send out a shot from behind with the production chairs. Let's see the hair. Let's see her in the hoodie. I'm like, absolutely. This is the type of thing that you post. You don't need to reply to everybody because I do think that if he had not been as consistent with his posting during the production of Superman and right now, I think Vogel might be singing a different tune. Because I think this photo, this is the type of thing that you would have seen in a magazine in the 80s and lost your mind over.
I got no issues with the tweet. I got no issues with the tweet. I just think that like at a certain point, you're like, okay.
You got issues that the tweet was even made. Not that the content of the tweet was the issue. The fact that a tweet even happened, that's your issue. Yes.
Yes. If a tweet tweeted in the woods, did anybody hear the tweet? I don't know. The analogy got lost somewhere along the way. What's next?
I lost sight of the sentence structure.
I don't know.
Somebody get the chicken wings. We're at that level of the happy hour. Somebody get the chicken wings. Let's move on to this one here. Shannon, Ulrich Thomsen is set to play DC supervillain Sinestro in HBO's Lanterns. Somewhere Mark Strong has let out a scream of pain, but it is Ulrich Thomsen who is stepping in here. He's been tapped to recur in the HBO WTV and DC Studios series. Of course, this series follows new recruit Jon Stewart, Aaron Pierre, and Lantern legend Hal Jordan, played by Kyle Chandler, as they are two intergalactic cops who are drawn into a dark Earth-based mystery. Sinestro is a former Green Lantern who turned rogue and described as a ruthless yet undeniably charming guy. I don't know too much about Ulrich Thomsen. He's well known for playing Kai Proctor in the series Banshee, which I have yet to watch, and my friend Bruce Cambozos is constantly telling me to watch. He was in the critically acclaimed Scandinavian series Trom, and he recurred in the Blacklist, Counterpart, and The Young Pope. Literally have not seen any of those things. He will next be seen in Uwe Boll's feature run. That's not a positive thing to have on your resume. So do you like Ulrich Thomsen? Do you think this is the right choice for Sinestro? And do you think they cast this guy because he's not going to take attention away from Aaron Pierre or Kyle Chandler?
No, I don't think that's. I don't think that's the reason, because you're afraid of eclipsing Aaron Pierre or Kyle Chandler. No, I also, like you. Like he's a Danish actor.
Mm-hmm.
In everything, he always plays nondescript European in everything American that he's been in. I think he's Pennsylvania Dutch, I think, in Banshee. I did look him up because I am not I've seen, like, I know I recognize him, but I'm not overly familiar. So I looked him up and I'm like, he's got a quality. He's got kind of a Liam Neeson meets Willem Dafoe quality.
Oh, I shouldn't have said anything then. He's going to come and stomp my lights out. All right.
But based off of his look, based off of, the 5 minutes that I found of him on YouTube, I'm like, yeah, he's an interesting choice. The only thing is, like, he's 60 or he's almost 60. So
he's born in 63. So yes. Go ahead. Yes.
So my only question is the length of Sinestro's presence in the DC universe as a whole. I'm guessing that we might not be seeing him that much, unless they just want an older Sinestro. But no, I mean, like, his delivery, like, I thought he was good, and he's definitely who you get for a TV series.
Yeah, what do you think here, Mike, about old man Sinestro? Do you like this idea that he is going to be a part of this series? What does it tell you that they're casting a kind of 60-year-old Sinestro? I mean, Kyle's in his late 40s, early 50s, so it's kind of correlative to Hal Jordan. So,
Kyle's late 50s, and Sinestro was a Green Lantern when Hal became a Lantern. So
that's right.
Like if you look at Kyle Chandler's age and you go, if it was a 20-year-old playing Sinestro, I'd be like, well, that's going to be a confusing origin story. Like, when knowing what we know of Sinestro and Hal Jordan, he is the right age. Like, that is correct. I mean, it just sort of supports what James Gunn has been saying from day one, and that what we've already observed is that this is a lived-in universe. This is a universe where Hal Jordan has had his adventures already and is the older of the two true detective style characters. So the fact that Sinestro is older as well, like, it makes sense. Like, Sinestro might only be in flashbacks. Sinestro might be part of, like, what Hal used to deal with. Like, I don't think that we're saying that Sinestro is the big bad of this series. Maybe he is, but I think that it's a lot more to deal with what he and Hal dealt with previously, so I think it's interesting.
Okay. Yeah, it's an interesting decision to go with an older, but I think that makes me more excited rather. And as you said, Shannon, he's a guy who's done other Dutch stuff and other things from other countries. Like, clearly there is a darker edge to him being a part of Banshee. So this story is going to have a harder edge as they pitched it from the beginning. So you cast an actor who's going to bring that kind of energy when you see him appear on screen, and an older energy, a haggard energy. And He's only 2 years older than Kyle Chandler. I just looked it up. Kyle Chandler's 65. He will be born in 65. He'll be 60 this year. And Ulrich 60, born in 1963. So they're not that far apart in age, as we were intimating. So could be interesting to see where we go with that one overall. Are you guys excited about this Lanterns thing? Are you waiting to see some sort of trailer or something? Where are you at on it? Where's the excitement level on Lanterns?
I mean, for me, knowing that it's going to be, again, a terrestrial, True Detective style adventure, coming off of Aaron Pierre's film on Netflix, and I've always been a huge Kyle Chandler fan since Friday Night Lights. I'm 100% excited for this. I'm like, what do Lanterns on Earth solving a murder look like? I'm totally intrigued.
True Detective, Sons of Oa or something. I don't know. Mike, you're excited for this one? Yes?
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it could go wrong in a lot of ways.
Yes.
So there's always, like, with any of these things, like, it's always with every one of these, I think that we live in this era right now, and particularly Marvel, DC, Star Wars. At those three particularly, the hype levels get so high, which means the disappointment levels can equally sort of balance out. But I think James Gunn is doing a lot of really interesting things, and he's doing things purposefully differently than Marvel does, which I think makes me interested. So the fact that this is terrestrial, I know that the other Green Lantern shows that have been in development in the past kind of fell under their own weight, because as soon as you start trying to do space cops and OA and all of this stuff, like you're basically doing a Star Wars level show with a Star Wars level budget, and that's kind of challenging. So I think they're making smart moves and creatively interesting moves.
Okay. All right. Let's hit two more stories. I know we gotta get these questions. I know we're gonna run out of time here on the happy hour of the Geek Buddies. Let's hit this one. Michael, go to you first. Got to go to you first. Rumors are, after looking at Catherine Hahn to play the villain in this live action version of Tangled, that would be Mother Gothel. I think I'm gonna say that, Mike. You can correct me if I said it wrong. Taylor Swift and Demi Moore are supposedly being looked at here for the role of Rapunzel and Mother Gothel. So what do you think? Do you like this? I mean, Taylor's a little in her 30s. Is she going to be 17 years old? What are your thoughts on these? Would you like to see this happen? And, of course, congratulations to Demi for her Oscar nomination. What do you think?
I like half of it.
Which half? Which half
I mean, Demi basically just played Mother Gothel in The Substance. It is the same character, so she's good to go. And I'm thrilled that The Substance has sort of given Demi Moore this nice little resurgence at this point. Like, like everything she said in her Golden Globe speech. But The Substance is such an interesting movie, and it's such a unique movie. And Demi Moore got to do some really out there stuff. But when you look at the entirety of what she did in The Substance, like, that's a live action Mother Gothel. I don't want Swifties coming for me, but I think Taylor Swift is such an amazing performer on stage when she's singing, and she's so good at it, and she's such a powerhouse in the music industry that I just don't want her to take time away from that to act.
Wow. That is such a political answer. Shannon McClung, your thoughts on this situation? Would you like to see them take on these roles? Would it make sense?
Demi Moore, absolutely. As this sort of, second renaissance that she's having, I love the fact that she might get to be in another like huge big budget movie. Yeah, everything Vogel said about Taylor Swift, I agree. I just think more of her than he does.
Wow.
Michael, is that true? Does he think more of her than you do? Wow. That's a surprising.
I think if we did a sing-off of Taylor Swift songs, I think we would quickly see that Shannon would I think the truth would be revealed. But also, also just like let's just also like, can we just stop with the live action remakes though?
Oh, good luck. Good luck, buddy.
I know we're not going to, because I know they just it's
Mufasa's
just
killing
cash.
it right now.
I know. It's just a cash. infusion to Disney. I mean, they're just printing money when they make them, but you're not going to make a better movie than Rapunzel or than Tangled. Like, Tangled is a damn near perfect movie.
It's a good movie. Yeah, no doubt. Even I admit that one. That's really sweet. But you know who was kind of maybe lobbying for Mother Gothel last night on Jimmy Fallon? That's this lady right here. I mean, this is Andie MacDowell. What if you go with Andie MacDowell and her daughter Margaret Qualley? Couldn't that work to have both of them be these characters, or is Margaret a little too old to play the 17-year-old as well? I'm just throwing it out there. I mean,
Andie MacDowell in her first role, was it her first role, Greystoke?
Which one? Greystoke is her first role,
where she was so bad that they had to dub her voice in with Glenn Close.
They did use Glenn Close, yes.
Like she was so bad in Greystoke that they had Glenn Close come in to do her voice. And Andie MacDowell has never gotten better than that in her entire career.
Wow. Not worrying about the Andes coming after you. The Swifties, but not the Andes.
Shannon,
all right.
Shannon, care to weigh in on that?
I think Margaret Qualley is a very talented actress or a very talented performer. And I'm guessing she got that genetic talent from her dad's side.
Wow.
That's my guessing.
Wow.
Andie MacDowell in a film has never improved it. Again, Ready or Not, one of my favorite films of the last few years. Yes. There is one. I mean, I think that's probably the best performance of Andie MacDowell's career.
I think by the way,
I think there were better options.
Wow. I think Ready or Not is one of the best performances that she's put in, and I wholeheartedly agree with my geek buddy Shannon McClung. One of my least favorite lines. This is a fun fact that you might not know. One of my least favorite lines in all of cinema.
Yes. Is
when she says, "Is it raining? I hadn't noticed," at the end of 4 Weddings and a Funeral. It's one of the worst reads in cinema.
That film was a success, and I will not have any Andie MacDowell slander here. Not only was that a success, Green Card, she got Gerard Depardieu to be a romantic lead in America, for the love of God. Hudson Hawk is quietly one of my favorite guilty pleasures.
Yeah, let's try Hudson Hawk out.
Bunny Bauble.
You sold me.
Groundhog Day, she's excellent in We did it on the Cinephile. She's excellent in Groundhog Day.
She's not.
Come on. 4 Weddings and a Funeral. That is an iconic rom-com.
Is it raining? I hadn't noticed.
Multiplicity. She's really good with Michael Keaton in that movie.
She had 8 Michael Keatons to play off of.
That's not easy. Let me tell you. That's not easy. What else? Oh, she was in the Footloose remake. I don't remember her in I didn't see that, so I can't speak to that. But she was what was the most recent one that we were just talking about? Oh yeah. No Way Out. I thought she was, or Ready or Not. I thought she was really good in Ready or Not as well. So
I think she did. I think that's her best performance. And again, I think there was probably somebody better.
Okay. All right. I disagree with you both. I rarely do, but I do.
You could throw a stone down any street in LA and get somebody better. But sure, she did good.
Wow. All right. Well, speaking of doing good, let's hit the Oscars and then we'll get to the questions and run through those. So, gentlemen, what are your thoughts here? Michael, I go to you first, I guess, on this one. Oh no, actually, Shannon, you're the actor here. Shannon, what are your thoughts overall on the Oscars? What stood out to you? Surprises, snubs? Excited for some of the nominations? Let's talk about it.
So we already talked about the Best Picture snub for me that really, really disappointed me was September 5. This is a film that is about the Olympics in 1972 when some of the Israeli athletes were taken hostage, and this is all from the point of view. From the point of view of the newsroom from ABC Sports. Like, these are people that this is not what they do, but it was just such a tight, well-told story with some fantastic performances by Peter Sarsgaard and John Magaro that to me, it's just such a shame that it didn't get nominated, but also that more people haven't seen it. Like I don't know if it got a wide release date. I know it came out here in December, but that's the big snub for me. Going through the best pictures, my guess is that The Brutalist is probably gonna win.
Yeah.
I think that's the type of movie that they like to give the Oscar to. And John and I already texted about this. I'm like, that's the type of movie they like to give the Oscar to, and it's the type of movie that no one will be talking about in a year.
Yeah, no one's gonna go back to see that film in 5 years. Yeah.
I mean, it is a good movie. It is a well done movie. Adrian Brody definitely deserved his Golden Globe. But it's, again, to me, it's like The King's Speech. Like, no one is going to talk about that movie ever again.
Whoa. I would not put The King's Speech in that. Wow.
The King's Speech beating The Social Network is crazy.
I agree. I agree with that. But I still talk about The King's Speech. I like The King's Speech. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Going over to Best Director, I think that the big snub that everyone is talking about is John M. Chu not getting nominated, which was pretty surprising. I mean, but looking at who was nominated, the only one that I would take off was Edward Berger. I thought Conclave was it was a fine film and very, very predictable. I don't know what Edward Berger added to it as a director. It was fine. I feel like that's the slot that John M. Chu should have had. Going over to Best Actor, I mean, these are all folks that we kind of presumed. I thought it was interesting Sebastian Stan getting in there for The Apprentice.
That was shocking. Very shocking. Yeah, not a lot of people have that on their bingo card. Yeah.
But everyone else, in terms of the acting nominees, I feel like most of these, a lot of folks sort of kind of predicted already. I was glad to see that Guy Pearce got in there for The Brutalist, because
I do want to correct you. Sorry, Shane, I need to correct you here. Edward Berger was not nominated for Best Director.
I was going to say Conclave isn't up for Best Director.
No, Sean Baker for Anora, Brady Corbett for The Brutalist, James Mango for A Complete Unknown, Jacques Audiard for Emilia Perez, and Coralie Farge for The Substance.
I'm looking at Dark Horizons. They have him down here as Best Director.
Like 18-year-olds are running that site. Don't listen to that site. What about this situation? Who would you move out of here if you were to move in John M. Chu? Sean Baker, Brady Corbett, James Mangold, Jacques Audiard, Coralie Farge.
James Mangold.
Yeah, I agree.
100%. A Complete Unknown. That is a fantastic performance around a very paint by numbers musical biopic. I thought Chalamet was fantastic. I don't think he's going to win, but I think he deserves that nomination. But I don't think the film deserves to be up there, personally. And just looking at the rest of the acting nominations, Guy Pearce, I do hope wins. John and I had talked before about Kieran Culkin winning for the Golden Globe, and I think we both disagreed that it probably should have been Guy Pearce. But looking at the rest of them, I mean, Best Animated Feature, I mean, I like that The Wild Robot got in there, even though it's probably going to be Flo at this point.
You don't think Inside Out 2 has the Inside Out? You don't think that it has a chance? Inside Out 2?
It's Wild Robot. It's Wild Robot or Flo.
Really?
And I love Inside Out 2, but it's Wild Robot or Flo.
Okay.
And I know people were talking about Denzel Washington getting snubbed for Gladiator 2. I don't agree with you. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the times he has been nominated and won in the past, like, those are incredible performances. His performance Gladiator 2, man, that was a lot of fun. But him getting nominated for Macbeth, that makes sense. Gladiator 2, not so much.
Okay. All right, Michael, what about these nominations? What stood out to you? What did you like? Any snubs, surprises? What are your thoughts here?
I think the John Chu one is the biggest one. I mean, even more than, like, I get we have 10 Best Picture nominees and you have 5 director nominees. So 5 people who made arguably 5 of the best films of the year don't make it in there. But, like, Wicked, come on, that's a director's movie. Like, I mean, like, that is so much of John Chu in that movie, and it was so successful. It just, that one seems like, really? Yeah. Like, this movie just, like, fucking killed it, and directed by a guy with a background in dance and visual storytelling and all. Like, it's just like, come on, guys. So that's annoying. The thing about Flow, and I think I mentioned this, that I think is really interesting is, and I don't know that I'm 100% correct on this, but I think it's one of the first times a movie has been nominated for Best Animated Feature and Best Foreign Film.
Yeah,
which I think is really, really cool. I think I'm going to watch Flow this weekend. I haven't seen it yet, but everyone who's watched it, like right now, Wild Robot is my #1 for Best Animated Film, but I have a feeling that once I watch Flow, I'm going to turn right back around and be like, guys, Flow's the best movie. Yeah. That gets it. I'm really curious to see how Amelia Perez fares at the Oscars. It really cleaned up at the Golden Globes, and that kind of led, at least online, to a very strong Amelia Perez backlash, which features some very, very funny memes. And I'm curious to see what happens. And that's what I'll say on that front. But and honestly, the main thing for me this year is I really want Ariana Grande to win Best Supporting Actress.
Okay.
And for me to go from, I am very excited that they're making a movie version of Wicked, but I'm very concerned that Ariana Grande is cast as Glinda because I think she's going to ruin it, to I really hope Ariana Grande gets the Oscar for this movie because she deserves it, is a hell of a journey, but that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, you can, if you guys, I have a live I did an hour reaction after the Oscars were announced that is up on the channel that you can watch, or Jeff and I talking about last night. So I'll just go through these real quick in case you guys didn't watch any of those. I wanted Nosferatu for Best Picture. I was sad it wasn't nominated. Challengers, I thought getting wiped out was a shock. I thought the Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross score would get nominated, especially over that Amelia Perez score. Give me a break. Queer was shut out, which is a kind of a surprise. So 2 Guadagnino films getting shut out from the Oscars is
DEI. It's DEI.
That's what it is. DEI. So people thought Selena Gomez was a snub, but I didn't think so. I don't know if Ariana's going to win, but you never know with supporting actors, right? And like Marissa Tomei won and Mercedes Rule won. You just never know what's going to happen. It could be Monica Barbaro. It could be Ariana Grande. It could be Isabella Rossellini. You just never know what's going to happen.
It's not going to be Isabella Rossellini.
And then when it happens, you're
when it happens,
oh my God.
Like, I mean, I love Isabella Rossellini more than anything. She doesn't say anything, and then she comes up and says, "Hey, this thing is a fact," and then she walks away, and that's her role in Conclave.
Well, sometimes all you need is a big speech. I mean, Ned Beatty was nominated for that speech at Network. He didn't do much else other than that speech.
That's a very different speech.
Fair. Nicole Kidman, Angelina Jolie, Pam Anderson was supposedly snubbed. I think the Kidman, Jolie possibly were snubbed, not Pam Anderson. No offense. Pam Anderson did a nice job for that film, but in no way was this some kind of rediscovery. Yeah, no. I mean, Michael, do you think we were holding Pam Anderson down from great films that she could have been a part of? Come on. There's a limit. As you said about Andie MacDowell, I would put every single comment you made about Andie MacDowell, both of you, on Pam Anderson. 100%.
Well, that's just rude.
I'm just saying. I mean, I'm sorry, Tool Time and Barbed Wire and Baywatch didn't somehow lead to Oscars, but whatever. John M. Chu, I also think Denis Villeneuve, which neither of you mentioned, I think that's a massive snub. You do Dune Part 2. Like, that is not an easy thing to pull off, and I think he should.
Dune Part 2 suffers from the fact that I think Dune 2 is one of the best films of the year. I think Dune 2 is a better movie than Dune 1. I think Dune 2 makes Dune 1 a better movie. Like, I am all on board for Dune 2.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is that because it kind of just feels like one big movie. It's almost like you had your shot with Dune 1 and Dune 2. I don't want to say this in a way that sounds bad because I really do think Dune 2 is amazing, but I think that Dune 2 didn't do anything to distinguish itself so much from Dune 1 that it kind of got lost in the shuffle.
Well, that's what's so frustrating because people said, well, we're not going to nominate Dune because it's a part 1. So let's wait till the part 2 hits and then we can look and give it. And then it's like, well, now we can't even do that. And now you've got people saying, well, they're waiting for Dune Part 3, the Messiah one. Then they'll give him Best Picture. It's like, no, clearly Denis said something or did something and the Academy members hate him because it's out of control how much he gets disrespected.
I heard he talked shit about Andie MacDowell.
Well, that's not a good thing to do. Or Taylor Swift. But Emilia Perez,
that's worse.
It is worse. 13 nominations for Emilia, tying it with Gone with the Wind and Mary Poppins, Oppenheimer, and The Shape of Water. 10 for The Brutalist, which I think is going to pretty much sweep, and Wicked 10 as well. And Conclave and A Complete Unknown getting 8. Honora getting 6, which was nice to see. And I kind of feel like Yura might pull the upset and win Best Supporting Actor. It's really possible, you know.
I really liked him in Honora. I mean, I thought Honora was a great movie that was about 20 minutes too long.
It's about 20 minutes too long. It is 20 minutes too long.
But I thought his performance, I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, fair point. Oof, Brooklyn. I still talk about the King's Speech as well, and I don't stutter when I do it either. Woof. Well, there it is. All right, we've gone on for a bit, so we should get to these questions and get on out of here because happy hour is wrapping up. I can see them wanting to ring the bell. So let's get to it here. Jay Scoot says, if you could live in a galaxy far, far away, but had to live as a non-human species, would you do it? And which species would you want to be? I'd be a Wookiee, absolutely. Gentlemen, what are your answers to this question? And don't get mad at me if we run long. If you guys answer 5 minutes for each question, I just want to make that clear. Go ahead.
I'm just trying to think about this.
Okay.
I want to be a Gungan.
Like the boss? Boss Nass? Like Boss Nass Gungan?
Oh, no, I don't know. I don't need to have like a big double chin. No, I want to be like Jar Jar. Like.
Mon Calamari. Between Admirals Akbar and Radis, and the fact that they have the best ships, it's like those are the guys. Those are who you want to hang out with.
Admiral Radis, low key my favorite Mon Calamari.
That's a good point. Yeah. Get the maneuver effect. Big Bang OT4 says, should Lucasfilm reboot and adapt the EU stories? I don't know. No,
like
I think it should reboot. But not the EU stories. Good, yeah.
Like Heir to the Empire. Everyone wants them to do Heir to the Empire.
Yeah.
Like everybody wants those movies, but man, I don't know.
You can't. You got to get rid of everybody. Then you can reboot. I don't think you can keep the same people in charge and reboot. You're gonna get the same result. I feel like.
I just think, you know what I do? Like there's a part of me that, like everybody who's read a lot of the extended universe stuff, there's a part of me that's like, you know what? Recast it all, have young actors and tell those stories, whatever. But I think there's two things that are wrong. I know I'm not going to answer every question super long, but I am going to answer this really quick. Okay. Like that I think that one, when you go back and read those EU books now, and the way that they sort of classify things like the Clone Wars and a lot of like, this is before the prequels even came out. And I think there's little things that are different that would just drive everybody crazy. But more than that, I think that in general, Star Wars needs to not look back and only look forward. I want to see brand new stories told. I want to see new chapters, new characters, new adventures. And even though I love all the classic stuff, I don't want them to keep going back to it over and over again.
Fair point. Jan?
I think in terms of like a straight up adaptation of some of the EU stuff, I think there's too many challenges there. But I think what they have been doing, I don't think they've been executing it necessarily the best. But I think taking the things that did work really, really well, like certain characters, and trying to integrate them into sort of, Star Wars Prime, I think that's I think they should keep doing that.
Yeah.
Okay. Good stuff. By the way, we're at 400 people joining us for a majority of this chat. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us on a Friday. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell button. Leave your comments. Also, follow these two gentlemen on their social media as well, as you can see right there below on the graphic. So just giving some love to these two gentlemen. Big Bang OT4 says, would a Game of Thrones toned Star Wars show be a great idea? Is it Andor that? I feel like Andor already did that, didn't it? Am I wrong on this?
I think it's Andor Jason. Are you talking about the fucking? is that the part of? Is that the part of Game of Thrones?
Oh, we finished the beer clearly. Yeah. All right, talking about the fucking.
Shannon said fuck.
I know, right?
This is HBO Max, Shannon.
Shannon, like the fucking. No, that's what Shannon wants to go. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I think a big sweet, aside from that, Andor is great, but a show that sort of is very lots of different groups and lots of families and a big sprawling thing. Like, I think it'd be cool. I think that could be fun.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that. On multiple planets. Could be interesting.
Yeah.
Chuck Van says, hey guys, sending love from Australia. Hey, nice. Please inform Shannon on his behest. I watched The Pitt, Loved ER back in the day, and this is fantastic so far. Would it be too early to talk about Noah Wiley for an Emmy?
No. No. Knowing where his story goes, no. I think he is definitely in the conversation for up for an award. Yeah.
Nice. Michael?
What about that pilot?
What's that?
What about that helicopter pilot? Is he going to get an Emmy?
Hey.
Oh man, I hope so. From your lips to David Zaslav's ears, Mikey.
I like that kid. Get him nominated. Jay Scoot says, "Oh, okay, we already answered that one. Thank you to Fod Fire says, have a great weekend, guys. Thank you.
We will.
Thank you, Fod.
This Philip Bryan says, 1, congrats, John, on the Commanders. Well, the game is on Sunday. We don't know what's going to happen, but yes, we got to the NFC Championship. 2, Section 31 was a mess. That is all. Keep up the good work, gents. Yeah, y'all. I mean, that is ugly, the reviews that have come out for Section 31. I feel so bad for Michelle Yeoh, who is like doing all this press for it and being on all these talk shows, and it's like 29% on Rotten Tomatoes, both critics and fans. So that's a shame to see. So are either one of you going to watch the Section 31? Give it a chance. Yes.
Well, Shannon won't. It's Star Trek. I'm obviously going to watch it, but I am now. I feel like the time of day that I watch it has shifted. This won't be an evening watch. This will be like a wake up, make my coffee, and be like, all right, let's see what the fuck this is.
This is packing up your bedroom watch. Kevin Frazier says, I think How to Train Your Dragon trailer was awesome. Looking forward to the live action take. What say you? Yeah, this dropped over the weekend during the NFL playoffs. So, gentlemen, playoffs. What do you guys think? Do you like this trailer's live action trailer?
Is this a new trailer? Is this
it dropped over the weekend. Yeah, there was a new trailer that dropped over the weekend. Yeah, more with, what's his face? Toothless.
Haven't seen it yet. Based off of the first trailer, it didn't come out the way that I would have hoped, because it looks like they literally just took the cartoon and made it live action. And not in the best way. But again, if that is something that Kevin responded to, like, fantastic. I hope it's a good movie, but just based off that first trailer, I'm a little hesitant.
Okay. Michael, did you get a chance to see it? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, look, the director who directed the movie, the animated movie, directed the live action movie, he made it really clear that although they put some iconic shots in the trailer, that they've made some big differences for the movie. It's the same way I feel about the live action Disney movies. Like, I don't know why we're making it, but at the same time, I watched the trailer and that music played, and I was like, oh, wow, I got chills. I guess I'm going to go see this. So we will see. I will see it in theaters, and I might come out and sing a different tune. Maybe DreamWorks is going to do it right, where Disney oftentimes fails.
Wow. John Noble, is that correct? Who does the score on this one? Sorry, I forget the name of the score on How to Train Your Dragon. Oh, wow.
No, shit.
John Powell.
Yeah. Oh, score horse. We're almost fired there. Julius Wise says, John, heard you were doing Coen Brothers for the Cinephiles this year. Yes, we are. Our director series. If true, will you do No Country again, since it's an older episode? We've talked about it. We're doing Fargo, and we're doing Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Also, No Country for Old Men is greater than There Will Be Blood for Best Picture. I think those are equal. I would never choose between the two.
I agree.
Yeah.
No Country for Old Men.
Yeah. Shannon?
I didn't pick either of those for that.
Spinning R says, Trump elected, will MCU be all white male leads? I don't know. They brought Downey Jr. back. I don't know. Maybe
they're gonna turn Sue Storm into a man. The X-Men are gonna be John Gray.
I do believe that if they were casting Fantastic Four after Trump won, I don't think Pedro would even sniff Reed Richards. But who knows?
Disagree.
We're gonna call Nightcrawler Fight Crawler, but he's a guy, but he sounds more badass this way.
There's no German accents in this movie. Star Wars pitch. The gods must be crazy, but Luke's hand and lightsaber replaced the Coke can on a backwater planet. Cue power dynamic shift. Thoughts? Boy, you were going way back.
That is funny,
right? The gods
that
must
is funny.
Be crazy. That would be a good start.
I'm gonna keep thinking about that one. That's gonna stay with me.
That's a time bomb. It's just going to stay in there. Cowboys fan 92 says, hey, buddies, you guys seeing all these great reactions to your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man? They've gotten me even more hyped. I am super fucking pissed that I didn't get these episodes ahead of time, and I sent the email in and filled out the form. So someone got a very sternly worded email today that I didn't get access to these episodes because I'm seeing all the love and I'm excited. They've dropped some clips online. Gentlemen, have you seen the reviews? What are your thoughts on these clips that have been dropping online?
Yeah, people are into it. Like, this looks like
Yeah.
it might be another win post X-Men. Like, we had X-Men 97, big win. What if season 3, not so much? But this feels like it's on the other end of the spectrum. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, like we talked about a couple of weeks ago. I mean, for me, it's all the animation style. Does it work for my eyeballs? But based off of the response, it sounds like, at least in terms of the storytelling, people are into it.
Yeah, for sure. Alan Smithy said, "Oh, what's up, Alan? Thank you very much, Alan. What a kind owner." He says, "Hey, Geek Buds, love to see you live. Do you think that Disney has people paid to go through social media and YouTube to research specific topics and provide them with metrics? How many likes, views, checking comments, etc.? I think they do. Thanks, guys." Wow, what a fascinating question. Gentlemen, do you think Disney has people that do that? Maybe they're interns or PAs or lowly people there at the Mouse House who are rolling through these things to take a look?
Every studio has that. There's also companies that they hire to do that. Like, yes, that is absolutely something that
Wow.
every studio is doing all the time about everything.
Wow. Shannon, do you agree with this?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's like that goes back to like, ain't it cool news? That's where started, is because studios started to see that how much they were being talked about, and like, oh, this could be useful in terms of, in-house marketing. Like, what do we need to hit? What are people liking? What are people not liking?
I tell you, I would love to speak to someone who worked it for years and then left that job to hear what they had to do and what they were tasked to do if they're not under an NDA. It'd be fascinating to hear. Cowboys fan 92 says, by the way, Michelle Yeoh and the whole Wicked cast are pissed at the Oscars not giving John M. Chu his nomination for director. I'll go you one better. Josh Brolin said he was going to quit acting because Denis didn't get nominated. So what do you think, John?
I don't think Josh Brolin is going to quit acting. That's what I think.
Yeah, it does. As I think you guys already put, best pictures, there can be up to 10 nominees. Best director, there's 5. The director is a very essential part of a best picture. So yeah, I mean, I totally understand, and especially the way that you watch them in the promotions that they did. These people, and again, it could all be performative, but they seem to have some genuine affection for each other. And when you see someone getting rewarded for work and someone else not, it makes you upset.
I agree. Cowboys fan says, by the way, don't you forget Iger is a public Trump supporter. I don't know if he is a public Trump supporter. I know he served on his council the first few months of his first term, but I think he resigned his position there and stayed away from it. But I don't know if he's a public Trump. I think Zaslav is. I don't think Iger is. So I don't know. Bean says, who do you think will the big 3 heroes of Doomsday be? Like Cap, Tony, and Thor were in Infinity War. Thought for sure Strange would be a main player in Doomsday. I don't know if there's going to be heroes. What do you guys think? Do you think there will be like that kind of scene from Infinity War with Thanos? Do you think they'll have that in Doomsday, or will they wait for Secret Wars for that?
What are you talking about? The scene in Endgame where like the
yeah.
So
the trio took on Thanos. Yeah.
So it sounds like kind of like Infinity War. The groups are going to be all a little displaced. But in terms of, if you're looking at the big 3 that Cap and Iron Man and Thor traditionally are referred to, I mean, I think Sam is definitely going to be up there.
Yeah.
I would think Captain Marvel would be. I mean, in terms of the heroes, I guess it would be Sam, Spidey, and Captain Marvel in terms of just prominence. But yeah, I'm not sure. Okay. Definitely Sam.
Right? What do you think there, Mikey?
The fact that none of us know is part of the problem.
Well said. Well, you were sitting on that one. Well said. Garage Singh, thank you so much, Garage. What a very kind donation here. Wanted to share some appreciation to the Outlaw himself on his channel. Oh, only been seeing Roka grow as a person and as a host since Collider. Never stop. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I got to say, been a Geek Buddies fan since the WandaVision reviews. # y'all are the best. # Mephisto. Yeah, those WandaVision reviews, I still get people who text me or DM me how much they loved our reviews of WandaVision. Shout out to the great Emma Fife, who was so essential to our reviews of those. Let's see here. Oh, wait, Shannon McClung, Frasier has been canceled. Your feelings, your thoughts, your opinions. I'm heartbroken. I'm heartbroken.
Well, and that's an interesting turn because I'm sure I could scroll back in our text history, Johnny.
I know.
when it first came out, and you were not a big fan of that show. Yeah, classic sitcoms on streamers like revivals.
Yeah,
I don't know if they've cracked that formula yet to have sort of a long running show, because what else did they have? Well, I mean, I guess the Will and Grace reboot was actually on NBC. It wasn't on Peacock.
Yes. Right.
But even that didn't last for very long. How's
the Wizard as a Wizards of Waverly Place gentleman? How's a veteran rather? How's that one doing?
That is an excellent question. You know, my phone hasn't rung for that one.
Gareth Tucson says Padme and Hayden could film a scene at their own age with Luke and Leia. Could be like a what if so. How do you think it would work in Obi-Wan or Ahsoka? I don't know if that would work.
It would be interesting. I just don't quite know where it would fit.
Yeah. I like what you said.
But like seeing them as at their age and kind of like a what if Anakin hadn't gone crazy and they had actually grown old together and had kids, and Luke and Leia were their kids and everybody was happy, and then we didn't have any movies because there was no empire and everybody just got along. The galaxy far, far away would be really boring, but it would be very nice.
Like the end of Raising Arizona. Evil John Madden says, and the Emmy goes to Mr. McClung.
Oh, thank you very much, John Madden. I'm okay with it. You're evil.
Vincent Zawada says, RIP David Lynch. I hope you do Elephant Man on the Cinephiles. At some point, we will do Elephant Man down the road. It won't be now because we're so stacked in the first half of the year. But maybe we will do that one or Straight Story. I'm not the biggest Lynch fan, but I do like Elephant Man. Sean K says, just sending love to the best show on YouTube. Oh, that's very kind. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Brooklyn says, I worship at the altar of Vogel. We are not worthy. Wow. Oh, Michael.
Aww.
No. And then to counter that, Evil John Madden, the hate for Andy McDowell makes me torn for such a bad actress. She is in a bunch of really fun and iconic cinema.
She's in some great movies. John named many of them.
I did.
She's just not the best part of those movies.
And hearing you torn about hate, Evil John Madden, it kind of bumps up against your namesake.
Are you changing? Evil says, if I'm going to read a film, it better be real people, not a cartoon about evil, nasty cats. I don't know what that reference is. Do you guys know what that reference is?
I'm going to read a film.
Better be real people, not a cartoon about evil, nasty cats. Oh, Flo. He's talking about Flo, right? Because Flo's in French. Is that what he means?
Oh, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, Evil John Madden. You got to see. I heard it's really good.
Hey, come on. Karen Vandermaiden. Hi, Karen. It's always good to see you. Said Super/Man, the Christopher Reeve documentary, Getting Nothing is very sad. Yeah, it's just like still the Michael J. Fox doc. They got nothing from the Academy as well. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with that. Anyway, gentlemen, anyway, yeah. Okay.
Listen, man,
agreed.
I don't know what those documentary people are thinking.
Yeah. All right, Mark Santiago's in here. He says, what's your favorite Star Wars sequel trilogy movie? Also, my Barry in the Big City. I got it. Barry in the Big City. Season 3 DVD is here. Buckleberry, Huckleberry, times Blueberry Forever, Season 4. Let's effing go.
Love all of that, especially that you got your Season 3 DVD. Favorite Star Wars sequel trilogy is Last Jedi.
Oh.
Mine's Force Awakens, no doubt.
Yeah, by default, it's Force Awakens.
Yeah, by default, yeah. I mean, Rogue is the best one of them all, of the post Lucasfilm, but yeah, or post Disney. Eric Kirby says, just getting on right now. Did you guys talk about the Garth Ennis book, Crossed, getting made into a series? It's an effed up book. No, I haven't heard anything about this. Gentlemen, have you?
I haven't read the book, but now I want to.
Yeah. Julius Wyatt says, best animated film score of all time. What is it? Love you guys. Oof.
I think that's too big. Like, can we just throw out a few that we like? That's too big a question.
Sure. Do as you like.
I mean, How to Train Your Dragon. How to
Yeah.
Train Your Dragon has an incredible score. You can go down the list of most of Pixar, and their scores are up there.
Okay.
Toy Story up. The Incredibles. Yeah, there's a lot.
Okay. Michael, anyone thrown in?
Lion King, Prince of Egypt.
Egypt, definitely.
There's a lot of good ones. Lion King and How to Train Your Dragon are probably my two favorites, if I just off the top of my head.
Okay. Can I throw Akira in there? Does that count? Oh, well,
It counts.
Mhm.
Al Block says support. Thank you, Al.
Thanks, Al.
Eric Kirby, have any of you guys seen the cartoon show The Little from years ago? It was great. I do not know this.
You mean like, here come the little, here we go. That was a good show. I love that thing.
There you go. All right. One of us has. Shannon, did you see it?
Were they mice?
They weren't mice. They were like little people, but they had like buck teeth and tails. So they kind of look, and I think their ears, they were like mice people.
I vaguely remember this.
Okay. All right. All right. We got a few, just about like 4 Streamlabs, and then we'll be done with the show. Kevin Frazier says, this is a great way to end the week, hanging out with you guys. Any big goals for the new year that you like to share? Mine is to not let current events rile me up and to also finish flight school. Awesome.
Oh,
I
nice.
also find
Very cool.
I also find blocking certain keywords helpful. Thanks for all you do. Cheers. Gentlemen, any big goals for the new year?
I tried blocking Roca, but it didn't work.
I just keep barreling through it.
I'm gonna try and write a feature script this year that I want to write. I've written some other like shorter features, but I want to write like a full length feature and not just like some TV length stuff. So that's one of the things I'm gonna start working on.
Cool. Shan?
One of them was to get on to be cast in this really great geeky show that's going to come out this year, but that's already been dashed on the rocks.
We were trying to make it feel better.
No, it's it's for hopefully the Pitt to get a second season, and my guy gets to come back because I'm going to come back in a few weeks as well.
Nice. The goals are the goals. That's what I'll say. The goals are the goals. We'll see if they happen. I am too fly cam says the rate. Oh, by the way, Block. I wish I could do what you do, Kevin, and maybe because I don't want to not be aware of what's going on. But then again, I need to stop reacting to what's going on. Someone said to me, "It's going to be 4 years. Why don't you pace yourself?" And that kind of has been in my brain the last few days. I am too fly cam says the Rey issues isn't just people hating her; it's the fact that she should have become an icon for the generation, especially to women and girls. But honestly, I've never met a woman who likes Star Wars and had any interest in Rey. She's no Ahsoka or Leia. Well, you should go to conventions, buddy, because there's a lot of Reys at those conventions. A lot of young girls dressed as Rey in those conventions. I've seen young boys dressed as Rey in those Star Wars and Comic-Con or con conventions. So, yeah, I don't think that I think she has become an icon, but maybe not as strongly as others. But what do you guys think? Is he right or what?
I was at Disney's Galaxy's Edge yesterday, and it's a weekday in January, and I saw at least 3 little girls dressed up as Rey. So,
okay,
that's all I got.
Michael, anything on that?
I think Rey is very popular with a lot of Star Wars fans. I also think there's a whole younger generation that is going to love the sequel trilogy the way a certain generation loves the prequels, the way a certain generation loves the original trilogy. So I think there's going to be plenty of love to go around for Rey and Poe and Finn and Kylo and BB-8 and everybody. For me personally, I think Leia and Ahsoka have more fleshed out roles in the Star Wars universe than Rey does, but I think Rey has a lot of potential. Like, I want them to continue Rey's story and bring more people to her fan base.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. All right, let's see. Fredtastic says, oh my God, alive Geek Buddies. Awesome AF. I'm super excited for Marvel content in 2025 because I may need the distraction. The blame for the majority's failures have been put on minority groups for all my life, long before affirmative action. Also, I'm all in for a Rey saga, but I'm pretty much in for whatever Lucasfilm does with Star Wars. I just wish we get something on the big screen. P.S. Waiting for Vogel to tell us his executive story. Oh,
one day.
Oh, okay. Maybe after dark. Geek Buddies After Dark.
Geek Buddies After Dark.
We'll see. All right, 2 more of these, and we got to roll on out of here. I know that Evil John Madden. Do you ever think they will make the graphic novel Nemesis into a movie? It is a great read. I do not know this graphic novel, gentlemen.
Nor do I.
Okay.
I don't think they'll make it. It is a great read. I don't think they're going to make it into a comic book.
Okay.
A movie.
Right.
Sorry.
And Eric Kerber says, I just rewatched Batman Beyond. I think it's a very underrated DC cartoon show. You guys, thoughts on the show?
It's something that shouldn't have worked and ended up becoming a classic.
Yeah.
I think everything from like Batman the Animated Series to Superman the Animated Series to Justice League Unlimited, and Batman Beyond, like that entire Bruce Timm era is one of my favorites. I will always go back and rewatch all of those in any order at any time.
I mean, Michael is the one who got me into Batman Beyond, because I remember I was late to the party on the Bruce Timm regular Batman series, but when Batman Beyond started, I was like, oh, I can jump in at the beginning on this one, and I fell in love with that show. I absolutely loved that show with Will Friedle and Conroy. They're doing it, so yeah, I still have a lot of strong love for that show. So yeah, I hope one day they do it live action. We will see. All right, gentlemen, anything more we need to talk about? Any of the topic we want to bring up? We've answered all the questions. We're good to go. Anything? Are we good? Shall we roll on out of here? Or shall we ring the bell on happy hour?
I think happy hour is wrapped up, and let's move on to the weekend.
Okay, let's do it. Thank you all so much for joining us here on the Geek Buddies. We appreciate you all madly. And Shannon, what do we have to tell them?
Yeah, if you'd like to follow us on social media. On Twitter, it's @geek_buddies. On Instagram, at @the_geek_buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's @Shannon_McClung. On Instagram, it's Shannon the Geek Buddy. If you'd like to follow Mr. Vogel, it is @MKToon. If you'd like to follow Mr. Roca, it is @The Roca Says.
Mikey.
Go ahead and smash that like button below. Subscribe to Johnny's Outlaw Nation page. Check out all the amazing content he has got there. If you're watching this later, leave your comments below. We talked about pretty much everything. Let us know what you thought about it. If you're listening to us on a podcast feed, go ahead and leave us some stars and some comments so we go up in the rankings and more people can find us. And as always, the best thing you can do is retweet this video, post it on your socials, send it to your friends, and tell them to hang out with your buddies, the Geek Buddies.
And thanks to all of you. Thank you, Michael. And thanks to all of you for hanging out with us today on this live edition of the Geek Buddies, a little happy hour, hanging out, talking about a variety of subjects. We love you all, and we appreciate you, especially over 400 of you joining us for a majority of the show. It means a lot. So thanks so much, and look for more of our content coming next week. Enjoy yourselves this weekend, and we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode, live or otherwise, here from the
Geek
Buddies! Hey!